Chapter 4991. You're so powerful. Don't tell me you don't know this? Xia Juyo sneered. The hellfire dragon sensed it for a while, then let out a crazy roar. How dare you plant a heaven-sealing seal in my soul? Damn it, he was going crazy. Xia Juyo ignored it and said to Lin Xian, I've already controlled him. Even if I'm not here, he won't be able to do anything. That's good. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Xia Juyo said, You're using a black stone tablet to suppress him? Let's go out and take a look. Xia Juyo's body shook, and he wanted to go out. Damn old man, fight me for 300 rounds if you dare. Suddenly, the hellfire dragon roared and wanted to kill him. Xia Juyo frowned. He still had some tricks up his sleeves. Let's go. He instantly left the sword world. Lin Xian walked out too. After he went out, Xia Juyo waved his hand and tore the sky apart. He then grabbed half of the hellfire dragon's sword. He threw it on the ground and stepped on it. The hellfire dragon's sword was roaring. Damn it, take your foot away. How dare you step on me? Lin Xian was stunned. The sword could talk. Xia Juyo said that this was the dragon scale of the hellfire dragon. It contained his blood, soul, and bloodline. It was like a part of his body. So if he let this thing escape, it would be troublesome. Lin Xian's face changed. It was too troublesome to be with these old monsters. If he was not careful, he could fall into endless danger. Xia Juyo sealed the sword and gave it to Lin Xian. He said, You can use this sword. Lin Xian said, You don't have to worry about it running away. Xia Juyo said, I've already set 3 seals and completely sealed it. As for its power, it's definitely weaker, but it matches your strength. As your strength increases, the 3 seals will be unlocked one after another. By then, you'll be able to control it. Lin Xian smiled. Elder Xia was really thoughtful. Then Lin Xian pointed at a stone in the distance and said, It's that stone tablet. Back then, I only managed to send him flying. Now it seems like he didn't break at all. Xia Juyo also walked over, and Lin Xian hurriedly followed by his side. He couldn't withstand the surrounding flames at all. Fortunately, Xia Juyo was here. Xia Juyo looked at the stone tablet and took it with a wave of his hand. Lin Xian was shocked. There were no cracks at all. That sword strike just now was so terrifying, but it actually didn't cause any damage to the rock. Elder Xia, what kind of stone is this? That was too scary. Dragon-suppressing stone. Xia Juyo's lips curled into a smile. What a good item. It was rare. With him, their chances of winning should be higher. Xia Juyo looked at the stone carefully. When he saw the word Qing engraved on the back of the stone tablet, he narrowed his eyes. A descendant of Emperor Qing? A descendant of Emperor Qing? Lin Xian was shocked. This stone tablet belonged to a descendant of Emperor Qing. Could it be that a descendant of Emperor Qing had defeated the Hellfire Dragon and sealed his remnant soul here? All right, kid, don't think about this anymore. Go and do your thing. I'll bring you out. Then I'll leave for a while. You have to be careful. Then Xia Juyo brought Lin Xian out of the depths of the hellfire and soared into the sky. He placed Lin Xian above the 9 heavens. Then he turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Lin Xian, on the other hand, descended. The scene here had already caused a commotion. Hence, countless people were watching from the surroundings of the canyon. At this moment, the canyon descended from the sky. A figure naturally attracted their attention. Who was it? They looked over. Another expert had arrived. However, they realized that it wasn't him. It was a young man. Who was this young man? Many people were puzzled. However, some people exclaimed, It was that kid. He didn't die. Many people were astonished. Some of them had already recognized Lin Xian. Those who didn't recognize him soon found out. This was the genius who had caused the Ghost Eyes clan to suffer. Some of them who knew the inside story were even more astonished. Did this person come out alive? How terrifying was his strength? Or did he come out long ago and was just hiding? Many people were puzzled. Some of the older generation's eyes were shining. They all stared at Lin Xian. At this moment, a cold voice was heard. "Kid, you're still alive. Tell me, what exactly happened in the hellfire?" There was an order in the voice. Everyone turned their heads to look. They saw a mighty man riding a war horse with black flames burning on it. Many people were astonished. It was Yin Tianfeng. Some people's eyes lit up. This kid had offended Yin Tianfeng before. Back then, Yin Tianfeng wanted to take action but didn't have the chance. Now, it seemed that he was going to take action. Haha, in that case, this kid is dead for sure. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. "You're ordering me? Who do you think you are? How dare you order me around? Get lost." The others were shocked. This guy didn't want to live anymore. How dare he challenge the top genius Yin Tianfeng? Yin Tianfeng also walked down from his warhorse. He shouted coldly, "Do you want to die? How dare you disrespect me? Kneel down and kowtow." He took a step forward, and the energy in his body exploded. Lin Xian sneered. "I really don't know what right you have to be so arrogant in front of me. Back in the hellfire, I was a few hundred times stronger than you. What right do you have to be arrogant in front of me?" The surrounding people were shocked. What? This guy must be crazy. However, some people said that it was true. Back then, Yin Tianfeng condensed 9 hellfire dragons, but this guy condensed 3,000. He had completely surpassed Yin Tianfeng. How could this guy be so strong? Many of the older generation narrowed their eyes. Yin Tianfeng humphed coldly. "That's not your true strength. You just used despicable means. If we were to compete with true strength, you're not my match." He stretched out 3 fingers. "As long as you can take 3 of my moves, I'll let you go." Lin Xian sneered. "Do you want to die? I'll grant you your wish. I'll only use 1 hand. How arrogant." However, no one has ever dared to be arrogant in front of me. Yin Tianfeng was furious. His eyes shone with a terrifying light. There was a black flame on his body that kept jumping. Then he slapped his palm over. The black palm covered the sky and covered the earth. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines. They retreated quickly. Too strong. Yin Tianfeng was very strong. Even a supreme saint would be turned into a bloody mist with this slap. They all looked at Lin Xian. They didn't know if he could withstand it. Lin Xian sneered and sent out a palm strike as well. It was also a black palm. However, it wasn't a flame. It was a death aura. It was like a black sea of death. It swept across the sky and took away all life. The 2 pitch-black palms collided, and then the 2 palms faced each other. Chapter 4992. Lin Xian's palm was fine, but on the other side, Yin Tianfeng's expression changed. He felt that he had used up some of his vitality. After 1 move, "You plan on suppressing me like this? You really disappoint me. Bring out all your strength." Lin Xian said indifferently, "You've completely angered me." Yin Tianfeng. A cold storm appeared on his body. The surrounding black flames became even more terrifying, sweeping through the 9 heavens. Just then, 2 voices came from afar. It was Linglong Shui and Hanya. They said, "Yin Tianfeng, don't go overboard. We're going to ask Sir to go back now." They had been paying attention to the situation here. Now that Lin Xian had come out alive, they were naturally happy. "Lin Gongzi, come with us." "What? Do you think I don't exist?" Yin Tianfeng roared. Then he struck out with both palms, one toward Linglong Shui and the other toward Hanya. He wanted to fight against 2 top geniuses alone. "Damn it! How dare you look down on us?" Linglong Shui was also furious. 1 against 2. Was he looking down on them? Linglong Shui roared. She formed a seal with her palms, and a red light appeared on her body, turning into a sea of blood. There was a figure inside, who opened his eyes abruptly and dashed out. On the other side, Hanya roared. His soul flew out and turned into a soul sword, slashing down quickly. With a boom, the sky fell, and the earth cracked. Countless cracks appeared in the sky, and the two of them were sent flying backward, coughing up large amounts of blood. Damn it! The two were furious. Ling Long Shui roared. Blood demon scripture. Hun, you also released his soul power. It looked like they were about to fight. However, Lin Xian stood out and said, "Let me do it. This is a battle that belongs to me. 2 more punches, right? I'll let you know my strength." Lin Xian walked out with a cold expression. He didn't want to fight, but the other party was too arrogant. They kept finding trouble with him. Since this was the case, he didn't mind showing his strength. Previously in Hell Canyon, his divine body had broken through. Now his physique was equivalent to a mid-supreme saint. Even if Yin Tianfeng could kill 5 great sages in a row, he wouldn't be able to compete with a great sage intermediate. "Kid, show me what you've got. Otherwise, you won't have a chance." Yin Tianfeng sneered. Lin Xian nodded. "As you wish." He took a step forward and instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the other party. What a fast speed! Yin Tianfeng was shocked. Then Lin Xian threw a punch. There was no light on it, nor was there any law. There was only a fist. This was the power of the divine body. Yin Tianfeng was disdainful at first, but when the punch landed on his body, his expression changed. He didn't want to retreat, but it was too late. With a loud boom, thunder rumbled in the sky. A figure was sent flying and smashed into pieces. The dozens of mountains in the distance disappeared. What was going on? The surrounding people were stunned. Originally, they wanted to see Lin Xian make a fool of himself. But how could it be like this? Lin Xian injured Yin Tianfeng with 1 strike. This power was too frightening. If it was Yin Tianfeng, he would have the power to kill a great sage. But now, in the hands of Lin Xian, he didn't seem to have the upper hand at all. He was really a fly. Lin Xian looked into the distance and shook his head slightly. In the distance, the shattered mountains and countless stones turned into powder. Yin Tianfeng walked out with a cold expression. There were still cracks on his body, and blood stained his body. He gritted his teeth and said, "Damn kid, you actually hid your power. I won't let you go." He also charged over in a domineering manner. The black flame in his hand was extremely terrifying. It could melt everything. Lin Xian threw a second punch. This time, even though Yin Tianfeng gave it his all, his arm was still numb. It seemed that the power in his body was scattered. Damn it, how could it be? This had already exceeded the power of an initial great sage. His opponent's cultivation was lower than his. How could he be so powerful? Yin Tianfeng felt like he was going crazy. 3 moves had passed. Should he continue? Lin Xian laughed. Yin Tianfeng couldn't laugh. Damn it, continue. He shouted angrily. 13 dark swords. He waved his arm and slashed out 13 streaks of sword chi consecutively. Lin Xian laughed. He punched out 13 streaks of sword chi, shattering the entire sky. Yin Tianfeng retreated again. His arms were broken. Why? Still not convinced? Lin Xian punched again. This time, the power of the punch was even stronger. It was like a real dragon attacking. It directly penetrated Yin Tianfeng's body. A transparent hole appeared on Yin Tianfeng's body. He fell and let out a miserable cry. "No. Who are you? Who exactly are you?" Yin Tianfeng felt like he was going to break down. When did such a terrifying genius come from the underworld? The others were also dumbfounded. Yin Tianfeng was the top genius of the underworld. He was actually beaten up. Lin Xian walked over and looked at the fallen Yin Tianfeng. He shook his head slightly. "You're too weak. You don't deserve to know my name." After that, he ignored Yin Tianfeng. He looked into the distance. Ling Long Shui and Hanya flew over and invited Lin Xian. Lin Xian looked at Ling Long Shui and said, "Thank you, Blood Fury Saint, but I've decided to choose Soul Sage. I hope Fairy and Blood Fury Saint can understand." After that, Lin Xian and Hanya left. Ling Long Shui sighed. It was expected that Yin Tianfeng didn't choose them. After all, Soul Sage thought highly of Yin Tianfeng. They didn't think highly of Yin Tianfeng and had already lost. However, Ling Long Shui took a deep breath. She had to hurry back and tell her father about this. That Lin Xian was still above her expectations. As for how to treat Lin Xian, that wasn't her concern. It was all up to her father. What happened here quickly spread. In an instant, countless people were in an uproar. They didn't expect Yin Tianfeng to be defeated. It was unbelievable. One had to know who Yin Tianfeng was. He was a top expert. Now, he was severely injured. Who did it? Countless people were investigating. On the other side, Soul Sage laughed heartily. Lin Gongzi, I welcome your choice. I won't be disappointed. He also knew about what happened previously. He was very happy. It seemed that the strength of this young man was above his expectations. Bring Lin Gongzi to rest. Lin Xian nodded and left with Hanya. Since he had decided to join Soul, he wouldn't leave for the time being. After all, he still needed to enter the 18 levels of hell. On the other side, Ling Long Shui also returned to report to Blood Fury Saint. The Blood Kill Saint narrowed his eyes. It seemed that he had made a mistake this time. Father, what should we do next? Ling Long Shui knew that Blood Fury Saint had also missed out on some geniuses. However, those geniuses were all dealt with secretly. Should they make a move this time? Blood Fury Saint shook his head. No, change the strategy this time. I've made a mistake twice. He's completely out of my expectations. So, don't make an enemy out of him. Even if he's not one of us, we can't be enemies. Understand? Chapter 49-93. Ling Long Shui was shocked. Was her father afraid of the other party? To be more precise, he was afraid of the other party's future. If the other party grew up in the future, he would be able to threaten a saint-level existence. He nodded and said, Yes, father, I understand. A few days later, Lin Xian met the Soul Sage Lord again. The Soul Sage Lord brought him into the distance. Then they took a teleportation array and left. When they appeared, Lin Xian discovered that he had arrived in another world. He was still in the dark star system. The Soul Sage Lord said, This is my world. Furthermore, it is one of my worlds. This is where my subordinates cultivate. The so-called Soul was an organization of assassins from hell. The assassins from hell were divided into many organizations. There was the Killing Temple, Soul, Blood Slaughter Camp, and so on. They were all very famous. The Soul Sage Lord brought Lin Xian here. Clearly, he wanted to focus on nurturing him. Of course, he still had to have some methods. He said, Lin Gongzi, are you sure you want to join Soul? If you do, you will receive a soul imprint. Take a secret pill. This is to ensure that Soul's secret is not leaked. Not only us, but all the assassins from hell must do this. Even in my mind, there's a soul restriction as well. After Lin Xian heard this, he was silent for a moment. He said, What's the difference between having a soul restriction and not having a soul restriction? Without a soul restriction, you are just an ordinary martial artist. You will not receive our core training. But if you have a soul restriction, we will do our best to nurture you. You will obtain supreme movement techniques and supreme sure-kill manuals. In truth, Lin Xian was the least afraid of soul imprints, poisons, curses, and the like. He had the Great Dragon Sword Soul. He could rely on the power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul to destroy them. It was just that he had to assess whether these two cultivation methods were worth the effort he had put in. The Soul Sage Lord also smiled mysteriously. It seemed that if Lin Xian didn't completely join and have a soul imprint planted, he wouldn't reveal any secrets. Lin Xian said, All right, I am willing to join. Next, the Soul Sage Lord brought Lin Xian to an ancient hall. There was a statue of a god there. That was an extremely terrifying figure. looking down on the world like an unparalleled god. When he saw the statue, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. It was terrifying. This is Soul Sage Monarch became extremely respectful. This was the statue of Underworld Emperor. After speaking, he bowed respectfully. Lin, if you want to join us, then bow to the statue of Emperor Ming. Lin Xian walked over and bowed. In the next moment, he felt that the statue's eyes suddenly released a ball of light that turned into two mysterious runes. It flew into his glabella. Lin Xian felt that her soul had been imprinted. It seemed that as long as the other party was willing to give the order, his soul would be destroyed. This was not the first time he had experienced such a feeling. Previously, when he had just arrived, the people from the heavenly grotto had planted such a life and death imprint on him. Even he could do it himself. Therefore, Lin Xian did not resist. He took a deep breath. When the time came, he just had to use the great dragon sword soul to kill it without anyone knowing. The soul sage lord beside him was also surprised. You didn't faint? That's really surprising. Lin Xian was stunned. Later, he understood. It turned out that those people couldn't withstand the imprint and fainted. They would need to rest for a few days to recover. Lin Xian stood there as if nothing had happened. However, the Soul Sage Lord did not suspect anything. This was the statue of the Emperor. It had supreme divine abilities. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, he could not break through the divine abilities of the Emperor. Lin, come over here. The Soul Sage Lord brought Lin Xian out of the ancient hall and to the other side. Then he said, "Now you can ask any questions you have. I will tell you everything I know." Lin Xian said, "Senior, what are the two supreme divine abilities you mentioned just now? Were they created by Underworld Emperor?" Lin Xian had this thought. The Soul Sage Monarch spoke. The Underworld Emperor had indeed created a supreme ultimate technique, as well as an extremely powerful assassination technique. However, not everyone was able to cultivate it. Ordinary assassins cultivated supreme divine abilities created by ancient sages. But you have enough talent. In addition, you have the imprint of your soul. It will definitely not betray you. Therefore, you are qualified to learn the two supreme divine abilities of Underworld Emperor, Shadowless Heaven's Net, Azura Sword Art. One was a supreme movement technique. The other was a supreme assassination technique. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed like he had learned the two supreme divine abilities of the Emperor. The complete inheritance of the Emperor could not be given to him. However, it was enough. The supreme divine abilities of the Emperor surpassed everything. Who would have thought that the underworld would really spend a lot of money to allow top geniuses to cultivate these two divine abilities? But then again, it made sense. Other than Lin Xian, who had the confidence to destroy the imprint of the Emperor's statue, no one else would be able to do so. Since that was the case, what did the underworld have to worry about? Next, Lin Xian obtained the two divine abilities. He said, "Sage, I need a place to cultivate." This was natural. The Soul Sage quickly prepared an extremely good mountain range for Lin Xian. There were all sorts of resources here. It was enough for Lin Xian to cultivate in peace. After Lin Xian entered, he took a deep breath and formed an array. Then he activated the great dragon sword soul with all his might. He also used the power of the sword world. Lin Xian wanted to destroy the imprint in his mind. At this moment, an underworld sword flew out. It said in the air, "Kid, you really have a good idea. You want to gain something without risking anything. But do you think the imprint of the Emperor is so easy to destroy? You underestimate the Emperor too much." Lin Xian opened his eyes and snorted coldly. He shut his mouth. With a slap, he sent the underworld fire dragon sword flying. The fire dragon sword Qi gritted his teeth. Damn it, but he did not attack Lin Xian. All of his life was in his opponent's hands. Therefore, at this moment, he could only sneer as he watched Lin Xian suffer. With the support of the Sword World's power, the great dragon sword soul transformed into an extremely terrifying attack power and began to attack the seals. It had to be said that the soul imprint was indeed very strong. Even if Lin Xian activated it with all his might, it still took him a month's time to completely destroy the soul imprint. One had to know that a month was not short. After all, the power of the Sword World was still very terrifying. Fortunately, the power of the great dragon sword soul was unparalleled, and his soul imprint was not left behind by the real great emperor. It was just a statue of the great emperor. Now that he had nothing to worry about, Lin Xian began to cultivate these two ultimate techniques. Damn, it was removed so quickly. The underworld fire dragon. Sword could not believe it. Lin Xian looked at the other party and sneered. How could you know my trump card? Go play by the side. He once again sent the other party flying with a slap. The roar of the underworld fire dragon, sword Qi, directly created a hole in the ground, out of sight, out of mind, and inside the sword world. The remnant soul of the underworld fire dragon was opening up those savage areas every day. As he opened up, he roared crazily. It was obvious that he was incomparably angry and depressed. Chapter 4994. Lin Xian began to cultivate Shadowless Heaven's Net, an extremely terrifying movement technique. Lin Xian had come into contact with Hell's assassins before, and had even fought many battles with them. The opponent's movement technique was indeed strange. It was only because he had the heavenly secret god eyes that he could detect in advance. The others would probably be killed without even knowing when the other party arrived. Not only Hell, but even the heavenly court had top assassins. Moreover, those hidden techniques were extremely terrifying. Lin Xian guessed that they were most likely the divine abilities of the great emperors. After cultivating Shadowless Heaven's Net, it wasn't any weaker than spatial divine abilities. Even before Emperor Ming became a great emperor, he relied on this movement technique to compete with his enemies in the universe. One person against many in the endless universe at the same time. As for the Azure sword art, it gathered killing intent into one. It was a sure kill sword. There weren't many sword techniques, only a total of 7 moves. However, each move was extremely decisive and could directly take the enemy's head. Moreover, after cultivating the Azure sword art, one would usually hide the killing intent in the sky like a normal person. However, once one attacked, the killing intent would be released in an instant, turning one into an Azure. It was truly terrifying. Lin Xian began to cultivate just like that. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Lin Xian didn't expect that he would stay in Hell for so long and even continue to stay there. However, he didn't care at all now. The 2 great Emperor divine abilities were the most terrifying divine abilities he had ever encountered. The difficulty of cultivating them was also far greater than before. It was even harder than the fearless lion seal. In the blink of an eye, another 3 years had passed. Lin Xian opened his eyes. It wasn't that he didn't want to cultivate anymore, but there was a piercing pain on his back. It was the infernal evil eye. Damn it, is it acting up? Lin Xian felt that the situation wasn't good. He had to go to the 18 levels of Hell. In these 3 years, Lin Xian had also gained something. He could already use the first move of the Azure sword art. As for Shadowless Heaven's Net, he was only at the entry level. It couldn't be helped. The great Emperor's divine ability was really too difficult to cultivate. This was the first time Lin Xian had improved so much in 3 years. It was already very terrifying, especially the Azure sword skill. Lin Xian was able to use it once every 3 years. If word got out, it would shock everyone. From the looks of it, an Emperor-level mystique was not something that could be completely comprehended in a short period of time. Lin Xian stood up and prepared to look for the Soul Sage Monarch. However, when Lin Xian went out, he realized that something was wrong. Therefore, this was a hunt, and also a competition, especially for the Soul Sage Monarch Slayer Temple and the Blood Fiend Camp. The 18th level of hell didn't belong to any world. It seemed to be a world of its own, with only one entrance. After entering, it would be an incomparably vast hell. The Soul Sage Monarch was right. This place was too dangerous and terrifying. Ordinary sage monarchs wouldn't dare to come here. In fact, if one wanted to enter the 18th level of hell, one had to be at least a great sage. This time, there were 5 enemies, all of them great sages, especially the last 2. They had reached the middle stage of the Great Sage Monarch Slayer Temple and were very terrifying. They might even have mysterious sage artifacts in their hands. They couldn't be underestimated. That was why the Soul Sage Monarch Slayer Temple sent 100 Slayer Saints. Firstly, hell was very large and needed to be searched. Secondly, even if they really met, they could work together. You, a member of the Soul Sage Monarch Slayer Temple, was a woman who looked to be in her 30s. In fact, she had lived for 3,000 years. She wore a veil and looked at Lin Xian with a smile. Lin, this is just a tour, right? You don't have to do anything. After all, you are a genius that the Sage Monarch thinks highly of. Nothing can happen to you. Lin Xian smiled bitterly and didn't explain much. Anyway, it was fine as long as he could enter hell. Next, he could look for things related to Ksitigarbha. You led the group and set off. They left the world and came to the vast, starry sky. In the boundless universe, they flew quickly in a war chariot. Finally, they came to a space that was incomparably dark. However, the sound of chains came from the darkness. You and the others grabbed the chains and swung them hard, making cracking sounds. Lin Xian saw something that looked like a lid being slowly opened. A fiery red light appeared from inside, and an extremely terrifying aura seemed to make people fall into a 10,000-year-old ice cave. An entrance appeared. This was the entrance to the 18th level of hell. You and the others said, "Go in." The group turned into lightning and entered in an instant. After entering, Lin Xian felt an extremely terrifying aura. Was this the 18th level of hell? It was too terrifying. He felt his body tremble. It seemed that he had to at least have the physique of a great sage. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to enter here. It was only because he had the divine body that he could enter with the cultivation of a sage monarch. However, he was still shocked. Just the first level of the 18th level of hell was so terrifying. He didn't know how terrifying the 18th level of hell was. Chapter 4995. The first layer of purgatory was extremely vast. Furthermore, there were all kinds of monsters and skeletons. They were all creatures of the darkness attribute. Even the sea demons were of the darkness attribute. As Lin Xian and the others were flying, a rotting sea demon flew past them. When it flapped its wings, the poison dripping down could pierce through everything. Fortunately, they had all cultivated top-notch movement techniques. Lin Xian used the shadowless heavens net, instantly vanishing and reappearing on the other side. What an exquisite movement art! The others were startled. Even Moon was curious. You've only joined for 3 years, right? What kind of movement art are you cultivating? Lin Xian smiled. I was just blindly cultivating it. If these people knew that he had cultivated the shadowless heavens net to such a level in just 3 years, what would they think? As they flew, they avoided the dangers of purgatory. After flying for a few days, Moon said, "The Bloodkill Hall's people are definitely here, so we have to hurry. Let's do it like this. We'll split into 5 groups of 20 and scout from different directions. As soon as we discover anything, we'll contact each other." 3 days later, you, Lin Xian, and the others stopped in their tracks and stared ahead with furrowed brows. Ahead of them was the scene of a huge battle. The blood-red ground was filled with all kinds of terrifying law auras. Moon frowned. What a terrifying killing aura. It seemed the blood-kill camps people had attacked. However, they should have failed. He sighed. This time, the target's power is even more terrifying than we imagined. We can't relax. Behind him, the Souls people all nodded. Even Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. A battle of experts? Interesting. At the same time, in the first layer of purgatory, two figures were standing on top of a mountain. One was a man, and the other was a woman. There was a sword mark on her forehead that looked like a blood sword. It was extremely mysterious. She was looking into the distance. The Bloodkill camp and the Souls people had both come? Humph and the Killing Hall. But it won't be so easy for them to kill me. Luosha, our people have already started fighting with them. The man at the side said in a low voice. This man's face was pale, and he was wearing a black robe. He looked extremely demonic. The two of them were the targets that Lin Xian and the others were looking for. However, other than these two, there were three other targets. It seemed that these people were not together. All of a sudden, the bell on his waist rang. He said, the black disc, and the others had sent him a message. It seemed like the two of them were about to make a move. The mysterious woman narrowed her eyes when she heard this. Fine. Then let them attack. Don't leave anyone alive. The bewitching man nodded with a smile and began to transmit his voice. At the same time, in another mountain stream, there were also two figures. One of them was fat while the other was thin. It was skinny, and its skin was black. It was called Black Butterfly. That fatty was called Trapped Dragon. There were many arrays flashing around the two of them. It seemed like they were preparing for something. The black disc said coldly, Soul had given them a big gift this time. Beside the trapped dragon were 4 pillars. The pillars had hideous human faces on them as they let out miserable roars. If there were other people here, they would definitely notice it, because these hideous human faces were none other than the experts of the Blood Evil camp. They had all been killed and sealed inside the pillar. Trapped Dragon said, with these 4 pillars, the assassins of Soulless would definitely die. As he said that, his huge body rose into the air. Although he was fat, he was a top-notch expert. His body was extremely agile as he brought the 4 pillars up to the 9 heavens. Then he threw the pillars into the 4 corners of the ground. Soon, the pillars sank into the ground and disappeared. A mysterious area was formed. All right, everything is ready. Let's go and meet those people. The 2 of them rose into the air and flew into the distance. On the other side, Moon Lin Xian and the others were on their way again. Suddenly, they stopped. Moon said, "Be careful. This place seems unusual." They felt that the aura around them changed in an instant. It became eerie and terrifying. It made their hair stand on end. Moon turned to look at Lin Xian and said, "Stay here and don't move. We'll go and take a look." Lin Xian wanted to say something, but he realized that those people had already gone far away. "Forget it," he sighed, and looked around curiously. Suddenly, he frowned. His eyes shone brightly. What was this? He was too shocked. He saw an unbelievable scene. Was it a barrier? Fog gradually rose around them. It seemed to be able to block even the souls. The figures of Moon and the others had completely disappeared. Within the fog, there were 2 figures who were laughing coldly. "Humph! They're dead this time. I'll make them wish they were dead." Trapped Dragon snorted. "Wait, there's still one person who hasn't moved. And where he's standing. Damn it, why is he standing there? We have to get rid of him. Otherwise, he'll destroy our dragon trapping array." The black disc said, "I'll go. Maybe he's too scared to come. Besides, I can kill him in seconds. Fatty, you have to control the array well and play with these people." Trapped Dragon said, "Don't worry, leave it to me." The two of them split up. Not long after, an extremely terrifying aura came from Moon and the others. Then, the killers around him let out miserable cries. Two of the killers were strangled by a mysterious force and turned into a bloody mist. The others were on high alert. Moon roared, "Who's there? Get out here." The surroundings were silent. There was a sneer, but no one was there. At this time, the ground around them cracked. Many white bones crawled out from it and rushed toward Moon and the others. Counterattack! Moon let out a roar. Soul's murderous aura was also unleashed. Everyone who could come here was not weak. However, the enemy was even more mysterious and strange. Moreover, this dragon-trapping array had an extremely strong suppression, sealing, and even illusory effect. These killers were destined to be miserable after coming in. Not long after, screams were heard. Another powerful killer saint died. The rest of the people were also terrified. Lin Xian had been standing there. Suddenly, he heard screams coming from the front. There was even blood. He frowned. Were they attacked? Golden light burst out from his eyes. He wanted to save them. However, at this time, a cold wind blew behind him. Lin Xian suddenly turned around and found a figure standing behind him. It was pitch black and abnormally strange. There was a black butterfly in the other party's hand that kept dancing. "Die, young man." Black Butterfly sneered, and the black butterfly in his hand flew over. Carrying a strange poison, it pounced toward Lin Xian. The pollen of these butterflies would instantly turn a Saint King into a pool of blood. Lin Xian frowned. With a wave of his hand, a ball of flame flew out and directly enveloped the black butterfly. The poisonous powder in the sky instantly burned, and the butterfly was also burned by the flames. It let out a miserable cry. "Damn it, how dare you!" Black Butterfly roared. He did not expect the other party to have such a terrifying flame. "Come back!" With a roar, he waved his hand. The black butterfly rushed out of the flames and flew back. At this moment, it was already on the verge of death. "Damn brat! How dare you hurt my butterfly? You're dead meat." Black Butterfly gritted his teeth. There was an extremely terrifying, murderous intent in his eyes. "I've decided not to kill you. I'll torture you to death. I'll let you live a life worse than death for 3,000 years. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. "So, you're my target this time. Kneel on the ground obediently, and let me capture you." Hearing this, Black Butterfly was stunned. "What did you say? You want me to let you capture me?" He looked up to the sky and laughed. "Brat, you must be new. You don't know how terrifying I am. How many powerhouses have died at my hands in the Assassin Temple? You're just a young man? You're not even a great saint. How dare you be arrogant in front of me?" Chapter 49-96. Lin Xian smiled as well. Was this another idiot who only knew how to judge one's strength based on one's cultivation level? "Looks like you're worse than I thought. To be honest, I'm not interested in dealing with you." "Then let's end this quickly." Lin Xian waved his hand and said, "Show me what you've got. You won't have a chance when I make my move." "What an arrogant brat. Looks like you really want to die. Then I'll send you to hell." Black Butterfly was cold. Countless black demonic runes appeared on his body. A black demonic sword also appeared in his hand. The corners of his mouth curled up, and his expression was ferocious. "Kill." With a roar, he instantly charged over. With a slap of his palm, poison filled the sky. The entire void shattered. Unable to withstand this terrifying aura. "Go to hell." This slap directly enveloped Lin Xian. "Ha ha ha! You're too slow. You can't even dodge my slap. I'll see how you die this time." Black Butterfly retracted his hand and sneered. However, a dragon's roar came from the shattered void in front of him. "You're really stupid. You want to break through my defense with this little bit of poison? Ridiculous." A beam of golden light streaked past, tearing the entire world apart. Lin Xian walked out, not a single wound on his body. Is this all you've got? Looks like you've really disappointed me. Forget it, let's end this quickly. Lin Xian took out a sword burning with hellfire. Kill him, Lin Xian said indifferently. The sword cursed. F***CK. Who do you think you are? How dare you order me around? The hellfire sword roared crazily as soon as it appeared. In the end, Lin Xian slapped it to the ground. You're not convinced? Today, I'll let you know what it means to submit. He grabbed the sword, and the power of the great dragon's sword spirit surged into it. An extremely terrifying aura destroyed everything. The hellfire tornado roared crazily. It hurts. Stop it. I'll listen to you. Okay? Then it shone brightly. The terrifying hellfire turned into the shadow of a dragon, staring at the front. F***CK. You're the enemy, right? Go to hell. With a roar, he charged forward, turning into an extremely terrifying sword shadow as he charged forward. The black disc was disdainful at first, but suddenly his expression turned to one of horror. This was because he realized that this sword strike was truly too terrifying. Not good. Run quickly. He wanted to retreat. With a single slash, his body was torn into two halves. The pain caused him to scream miserably. Wung, damn it, I was too careless. I thought this kid was the weakest among the assassins. Who would have thought that it would be so strange? Especially the sword in his hand. It was too terrifying. Heidai did not intend to fight head-on anymore. He was ready to meet up with Kunlong. Then they would join forces to deal with this brat. His shattered body turned into countless black butterflies that fluttered in all directions. There were millions of butterflies, and no one would know which one was the real him. Brat, just you wait. I won't let you off. A cold voice resounded between heaven and earth. Millions of butterflies flew in all directions. Damn, how am I going to find so many butterflies? Kid, it's not that I don't want to help you. The Hellfire Dragon's sword said quickly. The power of the great dragon sword spirit terrified him, so he did not dare to be too arrogant. Lin Xian squinted his eyes, and a golden light flashed in his eyes. Then he smirked. How dare you use such petty tricks in front of me? With a wave of his hand, he grabbed one of the butterflies and enveloped it. That butterfly screamed in fear. No, damn it, why? How did you know about my real body? He was going crazy. Was he just lucky? But this was too heaven-defying. There were so many butterflies, and he attacked without hesitation. It was obviously not luck. His opponent had a trump card that he did not know about. He wanted to resist, but it was too late. The sword aura in Lin Xian's hand pierced right through him, cutting his soul open. Search. Lin Xian's Tianji god eyes started to search his soul. Soon, the black butterfly was crushed by him, turning into a bloody mist. The butterflies in the sky disappeared as well. The whole world fell silent again. Lin Xian was overjoyed. He did not expect to find out about Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. It turned out that these people were being hunted because they stole a portrait of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. This portrait was said to be very precious. It was drawn by Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva himself. But it was stolen by these people, and now it was in the hands of the leader of these 5 people. As for the leader's name, he naturally got it from her soul. Rakshasa, a very scary woman. No matter how scary you are, since you have something of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, I will not let you go. Intense light burst from Lin Xian's eyes. His body then flashed, and he charged forward. His soul knew that this black disc had a companion called the Sleeping Dragon. What he used was the Dragon Trapping Formation, an extremely terrifying formation. After it was sealed, even a great saint would die. In front, the soul-slaying saints were in despair. 19 of them went together, and now only 7 were left. Moon's face became extremely pale. Damn it. Who was he? He was really in despair. The strength of these people was terrifying, but until now they had not even found the shadow of the other party. Could it be that they were going to be completely wiped out? At this moment of despair, a pitch-black figure descended from the sky. Was it an enemy? They roared, and countless terrifying auras came to kill. However, they were destroyed by a sword. The Hellfire Sword released a terrifying aura. "Who are you?" Moon asked coldly. According to the intelligence, there was no such enemy. This figure was Lin Xian, but he could not meet these people with his real face. After all, he had to find the portrait of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. So he changed his face and aura. At this moment, he said, "You don't need to know who I am. You only need to know that you are in danger. This is the battle of the sleeping dragon. There are 4 dragon binding pillars below. You can't leave it all if you don't break these pillars. I will tell you the location of the 4 pillars." As he said that, he waved his hand and turned into countless demonic dragons, roaring in all directions. The 4 demonic dragons flew in 4 directions and then circled in the sky. Although the dragon-binding pillars were mysterious, Lin Xian had already locked onto their location with his heavenly secret god eyes. At this moment, he gave it to Moon and the others. "How do I know if this is a trap?" Moon gritted his teeth and said. Lin Xian said, "Do I need a trap if I want to attack?" He slashed out with his sword. The terrifying sword chi made Moon and the others' faces become extremely ugly. It was too terrifying. This person really did not need to play any tricks. "All right, you guys can act on your own now." Lin Xian was about to leave. "Moon, who are you? Why are you helping me? Leave your name." However, Lin Xian did not answer at all. At this moment, there was a resentful voice in the void. "How dare you break my dragon-binding array? Do you want to die?" He struck out with his finger and slapped over in an overwhelming manner. The sleeping dragon was furious. He did not expect his dragon-binding pillar to be discovered. Chapter 49-97. In the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian disappeared in an instant. When he reappeared, he had already dodged. Moon exclaimed, "Shadowless Heaven's net." He was too shocked. That was the top movement technique of the Assassin Palace. How did he know it? Could it be that he was one of them? However, he had never heard of such a mysterious person in the Assassin Palace. After Lin Xian dodged, he shouted coldly, "I didn't want to attack you, but you don't know what's good for you. Do you really think that I can't find where you are?" With that, Lin Xian held the Hellfire Dragon sword in his hand and stabbed out. Azura sword skill. First sword. Buzz. Lin Xian's body suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in another place in the void. He slashed out. It was a sure kill move. When he performed it, it was extremely powerful. At that place, a fat figure appeared. He looked terrified. Damn it, his body was constantly changing, becoming a giant that could support the heavens and the earth. He clenched his hand into a fist and punched out. There was a terrifying seal on it that could seal a dragon. At that moment, it was used to seal the sword. Countless seals formed between heaven and earth and directly shrouded Lin Xian. The corner of trapped dragon's mouth curled up into a smile. However, in an instant, his smile disappeared. The sword directly tore the seal and cut him in half. "Ah!" he screamed crazily. His entire soul was split open. Moreover, the wound could not be healed. Lin Xian soared into the sky and didn't stop there. Instead, he struck out with a palm strike. Instead, he slapped trapped dragon's broken body onto the ground. "Attack!" Moon shouted angrily and took the lead to attack. At the same time, he ordered 4 people to destroy the 4 dragon binding pillars. Soon, these people began to divide the work. Trapped Dragon was killed not long after. One was taken care of. Moon heaved a sigh of relief. Although his face was bleeding and his body was injured, his eyes were extremely bright. He had taken care of one of the 5 people, although they had suffered heavy losses. Master, who was that mysterious person just now? Someone else asked. Yu shook his head and walked back. Moon and the others returned to their original location, only to discover that Lin Xian had long since disappeared. His expression changed. He couldn't have been assassinated, right? He knew that the young man was a genius that the Soul Sage monarch thought highly of. If he died, he wouldn't be able to explain himself. Another assassin said that maybe he was timid and ran away. There were also some who said that only 7 out of the 19 of us were left, and that our losses were even more disastrous. Perhaps the sage will forgive us. And the moon said, "All right, let's go." They thought that Lin Xian was either dead or had escaped, so they couldn't find him. Furthermore, the first layer of hell was incomparably vast. They could only hope that Lin Xian's luck would be good. Lin Xian wasn't dead. He had left. Right now, he wanted to be in front of Soul, Sand Sacred Hall, and Blood Fiend Camp. Find Rakshasa in advance and obtain the painting scroll in his hands. He had a bell in his hand, which he had obtained from Black Butterfly. In his opinion, this should be a voice transmission bell. Relying on this, he found an aura and flew towards that place. On a mountain peak among the mountains, the demonic man frowned. He said that Trapped Dragon and Black Butterfly were dead. His voice was filled with disbelief. Who could kill these 2 people so easily? Rakshasa frowned. It seemed that another powerful expert had entered. Leave this place immediately. I guess they should be coming towards this place. As he spoke, countless clouds gathered under his feet, and he instantly flew into the distance. A day later, a demonic figure descended on the mountain peak. He looked around, his eyes filled with coldness. He frowned. Had the person left? This figure was naturally Lin Xian. He had followed the aura of the bell all the way here. He didn't expect that the other party would still leave. Shaking his head, Lin Xian was also prepared to leave. But just as he turned around, the entire mountain peak suddenly split open. An extremely terrifying array formation appeared around him, forming an intense killing aura. A killing array slashed towards him. A mere killing array dares to compete with me. Lin Xian waved the Hellfire Dragon sword and directly split the array formation apart. However, at this moment, a large rotting hand enveloped him. This hand was too terrifying. Even with Lin Xian's strong physique, he was still affected. He spat out blood and flew backwards, his face filled with shock. The Hellfire Dragon in his hand roared. Damn. How could the first level have such a terrifying hand? No. Kid, run. The Hellfire Dragon had been suppressed in hell for many years, so it knew a lot. At this moment, her expression became extremely anxious. Lin Xian used all his strength to activate the Great Dragon Sword Soul, tearing apart heaven and earth. After escaping, the mountain peak was completely destroyed. He discovered that the entire mountain range had completely sunk into oblivion. That rotting hand had smashed everything into chaos. What was that? Lin Xian frowned. The Hellfire Dragon Sword said, "It's a terrifying thing sealed in the 18 levels of hell, but it should be at least below the 5th level. Why would it appear in the 1st level? Kid, do you have something on you? You lured this thing out." Lin Xian frowned. Could it be the Hellfire Evil Eye behind him? But it shouldn't be. The Hellfire Evil Eye was also sealed, so he shook his head. The Hellfire Dragon Sword said, "That's strange. There's only one other possibility. That is, the person who set up the array had something terrifying on him that lured this hand over. The person who set up the array. Could it be that Rakshasa?" Lin Xian frowned. It seemed like this person was more terrifying than he thought. He must have a powerful trump card. but you can't run away. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. His figure flashed again, and he chased after him. He went to chase after Rakshasa, and the three groups of assassins that came and did the same. Not only did they want to chase after Rakshasa, they also wanted to chase after the other targets. During this period, Soul and the Blood Evil camp even fought a battle because of the targets. Both sides suffered injuries and separated in the end. The assassins gathered here. Moon frowned and said, "We already killed one target. And from the looks of it, we also got a target after killing Temple. As for the Blood Slaughter camp, we haven't gotten one yet. That's why they're so anxious and didn't hesitate to clash with us. If we get one more, we'll definitely win this time." Soul's assassins attacked again. The strange-looking man beside the Rakshasa frowned heavily. Another person had fallen. "Damn it, there's only the two of us left. What should we do?" He looked at Rakshasa. Rakshasa said and attacked. The two of them didn't hide, but took the initiative to attack. Soon, they met a team of 20 people from the Blood Evil camp. The people from the Blood Evil camp were so excited that they were about to cry. They finally found their target, and there were two of them. "Humph, the two of you obediently submit and follow us." Chapter 49-98. This time, the leader of the Blood Evil camp was called Blood Demon. At this moment, Blood Demon's eyes shone with a cold light. If they could take down these two people, they would be able to complete their mission. The demonic man sneered, not knowing what was good for him. His figure flashed and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Blood Demon and the others. Blood Demon shouted angrily and attacked. As he spoke, he slashed out with his sword. The Saint Slayers behind him also launched their attacks. They used all kinds of killing moves to surround the demonic man, and Luo Sha, the demonic man, was like a fleeting shadow. His figure was also extremely strange. Moreover, his hands were extremely pale. He suddenly turned around and grabbed at the void, grabbing one of the assassins and breaking his neck. He then started to suck the assassin's blood. This strange scene made everyone's scalp tingle. As for Luo Sha, she was surrounded by 10 people and was not afraid. She smiled and formed a seal with her palm. A ball of green flame was shot out. It charged into the void. Suddenly, 3 of the assassins screamed, and their bodies turned into ashes. The other 7 people were also terrified and quickly retreated. Luo Sha and the demonic man attacked. The two of them easily crippled the team of 20 people. In the end, there were only 5 people left. These 5 people were terrified and quickly retreated. "Run." They ran frantically. Rakshasa sneered and followed after him in a flash. The demonic man said, "Just finish them." Luo Sha shook her head. "No, let them meet up. We will catch them all in one fell swoop." "Good idea." The demonic man also smiled. Therefore, the two of them did not chase fast. Instead, they seemed to be pressuring the other party. They were just letting the other party meet up. The people in front were running very fast. Finally, they saw the team. "Save us." However, they were not Xue Sha Ying's people, but the people from the Slaughter Temple. There were a lot of them, 50 of them. "Save us." Blood Demon did not care about anything else. He could only think about it, if he could escape. The people from the Slaughter Temple frowned at first, then laughed when they saw Luo Sha and the demonic man. "Ha ha ha, I finally found you." A handsome man rode out on a war horse. He looked at Blood Demon and the others and said, "Don't worry, with us here, your lives will not be in danger." Then the man on the war horse looked ahead. "2 people, are you 2 going to kneel down by yourselves, or do you want us to do it?" This man in armor was none other than Yin Tianfeng. He was a member of the Sand Sacred Hall. At this moment, he was also one of the leaders leading the people from Sand Sacred Hall in. "Are they here to court death again?" The demonic man sneered. You people are not enough to kill. Yin Tianfeng was enraged. Stupid thing, do you dare to oppose me? Previously, Lin Xian had challenged him time and time again, causing him to lose face. Now that he had 50 top-notch assassins with him, how could he not be able to deal with two people? With a wave of his hand, he tore them into 1,000 pieces. 50 Sand Saints rushed out in an overwhelming manner. Yin Tianfeng, who was sitting on the war horse, smiled. In his opinion, this battle was definitely one-sided. No matter how strong the other party was, they wouldn't be able to withstand it. Blood Devil and the others also heaved a sigh of relief. This was great. This battle was over, and their lives were saved. But what shocked him was that Yin Tianfeng was really despicable. He actually sent out 50 experts to deal with two people. He really did not hold back at all. Facing the 50 people rushing over, the demonic man's eyes shone with a terrifying light. However, Luosha stopped him. Then he walked out. The demonic man was stunned, at first. Then fear appeared in his eyes. Was he going to use that thing? Luosha faced the 50 assassins without any fear. Instead, the blood sword in between his eyebrows shone with a demonic light. Then, a black shadow floated out. It was a piece of cloth, but it was abnormally old. There were even many holes on it. Moreover, there was an extremely strange aura. It was as if this cloth was wrapped around a corpse. As soon as this piece of cloth appeared, it expanded in the wind and enveloped the 50 people in it. The 50 Slaughter Saints sneered. How could such an ugly piece of trash be a saint weapon? Kill. 50 slaughter swords pierced through the sky. But this time, they were horrified because the cloth in front of them was not damaged at all. Instead, it was quickly closing up. In the end, it completely covered them. No. In the next moment, they screamed in terror because they realized that there was an extremely terrifying aura on the cloth, causing their bodies to rot quickly. Then, they turned into blood water and fell from the sky. The 50 screams disappeared one after another. Blood Demon and the rest were shocked. Yin Tianfeng's expression changed too. He quickly rushed out. He gave the order, but no one came out. He was so frightened that he fell from his counselor horse. What happened? 50 top-notch assassins died in an instant. What kind of joke was this? What kind of weapon was this? For the first time, he was terrified. Run, Blood Demon, and the rest quickly ran far away. Yin Tianfeng also turned and ran. The flames on the warhorse burned, and it turned into a flash of lightning. There was nowhere to run. Luosha took the cloth and dashed far away in an instant. Blood Demon roared, and a sea of blood filled the sky. His body emitted a terrifying light, forming an endless sea that swept across the sky. However, it was useless. Under the cloth, the sea of blood quickly evaporated. Blood Demon and the rest were covered. They screamed in agony and turned into blood water, scattering between the sky and the earth. Yin Tianfeng's warhorse was also torn into pieces. Yin Tianfeng spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was full of fear. He took out a tortoise shell and covered his body. The tortoise shell shone brightly and tore open the ground. He fled underground. Ants. Luosha was disdainful and wanted to attack again. However, at this moment, she suddenly turned her head, and a cold light appeared in her eyes. The demonic man was also stunned. He turned his head. In the next moment, he saw a demonic aura in the distance. A figure instantly charged over. It appeared in front of them. Lin Xian looked at the two figures below and the sea of blood around them. He frowned. He said coldly, "I finally found you." Then Lin Xian stared at the woman below. "You are Luosha?" The demonic man felt as if he was facing a great enemy. He shouted coldly, "Who are you?" Luosha said, "You can actually escape from the array I set up. You are quite capable." That array was indeed set up by you. Lin Xian's eyes were also cold. This woman was very scheming. She knew that he would go to that mountain, so she set it up in advance. She also had a rotten hand. If he didn't have a powerful trump card, he might have been killed by that rotten hand. Lin Xian took a deep breath and said loudly, "I don't care about you and those killing saints. I want something from you. Give me the painting of Ksitigarbha, and I will spare your life." Chapter 4999. Luo Sha frowned when she heard Lin Xian's words. The demonic man sneered. "Kid, you're too arrogant. There are many people who want to attack us, but they've already gone to hell. We've already killed 50 top-notch assassins from the murdering hall. Do you think you can fight us?" The demonic man walked out. "Let me finish you." His body swayed, and he suddenly appeared behind Lin Xian. He was so fast that even Lin Xian was shocked. The next moment he felt a hand clasping his head, and the other party bit his neck. There was a loud crack, followed by a scream. The demonic man was bleeding from the corner of his mouth, and his teeth were broken. He roared in pain. "Damn it! Why is your body so strong?" Previously, he would break his enemy's neck and suck their blood. However, this time, he did not manage to break through his opponent's defense. Lin Xian snorted. "So he's a vampire." He flipped his hand and threw a punch at him. This punch was also extremely fast. The demonic man could not dodge it at all. In a hurry, he could only fight back with all his might. Blood nerve. He slapped his palm forward. A blood-red seal descended from the sky and collided with Lin Xian. A loud sound was heard. Then the two of them exchanged 3 blows. However, there was a loud crack, and the blood-red seal shattered. Lin Xian's punch directly broke one of his opponent's arms. The demonic man screamed and flew backward. He roared crazily. "Damn, kid, I'm going to tear you into pieces." He was really angry. To be honest, he had never been at a disadvantage, especially in the hands of a young man. "You're no match for me." Lin Xian shook his head and looked at Luo Sha. "You do it. Damn it, are you underestimating me?" The demonic man roared angrily. He stood up. "I'll make you regret this. You'll pay a painful price for underestimating me." As he spoke, he took out a blood-red pill from his storage ring and swallowed it. In the next moment, endless blood-red light appeared on his body. Her broken arm instantly recovered. Not only that, but her eyes also became incomparably blood-red. A red spear condensed in his hand, as if it was condensed from a sea of blood. The spear pierced out, piercing through heaven and earth. Lin Xian waved his Hellfire Fire Dragon sword and slashed out. A dragon's roar resounded between heaven and earth. Then hellfire filled the sky and swept across the 9 heavens. When the two collided, Lin Xian seemed to have transformed into the god of hell. Another fierce collision sound rang out as the blood-red spear was completely shattered. Lin Xian's sword pierced towards his opponent's forehead. Under the demonic man's horrified gaze, the sword enveloped him. Hellfire roared madly between heaven and earth. Sword chi danced in the air, and a figure fell from the sky. It was the bewitching man. His body was completely pierced through like a shattered painting, looking extremely miserable. Lin Xian sneered. "Like I said, you're not my match." He wanted to attack again, but at this moment, a jade-white hand stopped him. Everything. He even caught the terrifying sword chi. "Your opponent is me." Luosha's cold voice rang out. Lin Xian was surprised and narrowed his eyes. This woman was not ordinary. She could actually catch his sword chi with her bare hands. "Kid, you're dead meat." The bewitching man carried his injured body and walked into the distance. He had unlimited confidence in Luo Sha. The shroud in Luo Sha's hand was enough to sweep through everything. Lin Xian retracted his sword chi and said coldly, "Let me see what your trump card is." As he spoke, he slapped out with his palm. terrifying demonic chi surged, as if it had turned into the palm of a demon god, descending from the sky. It covered the sky and covered the earth as it charged forward. Luo Sha naturally knew how terrifying Lin Xian was. The fact that he could defeat the bewitching man so easily was enough to show his strength. Therefore, he did not intend to hold back. In an instant, he took out the shroud and directly shrouded the area in front of him. The black demonic hand was shrouded by the shroud and let out a rumbling sound. In the next moment, it quickly melted and disappeared. What was this? Lin Xian was surprised. The shroud swept towards him. He was curious, but the Hellfire Dragon sword in his hand was roaring crazily. "Kid, run if you don't want to die." As he spoke, the Hellfire Dragon sword wanted to escape. Lin Xian's body swayed as he used Shadowless Heaven's Net and instantly disappeared. He arrived at another space, and his brows were tightly furrowed. The place where he was originally standing had long melted and formed a black hole. He could also feel a chill down his spine. A drop of blood dripped from the shroud and burned a crack on his 9 yang divine body. Could it threaten the existence of his divine body? It was too unbelievable. Shroud. This was a shroud. How did he have this thing? The Hellfire Dragon sword roared crazily. Lin Xian frowned and said, "What was a shroud? Was it powerful?" It was more than powerful. The Hellfire Dragon sword said that there was an extremely terrifying thing in hell called the Infernal Corpse. No one knew its origin. Some guessed that it was a nameless great emperor that dropped it when he died. And this shroud had once saved the Infernal Corpse. Think about it. This was something that wrapped the great emperor's corpse. How terrifying was it? Ordinary great sages would instantly turn into a pool of blood if they were enveloped. Even I would rot if I were enveloped. Lin Xian was stunned when he heard this. Something related to the great emperor? It was too unbelievable. No one of the other party was so confident. Rakshasa snorted and stared at the Hellfire Dragon sword. "You know quite a lot." "That's right. This was a shroud. So you're no match for me at all. Just surrender obediently." He waved his hand, and the shroud covered the sky again, enveloping Lin Xian. He could see that Lin Xian's movement technique was extremely exquisite. So this time, the shroud covered the sky and covered the entire sky. No matter how good his movement technique was, he couldn't escape. It was over. The Hellfire Dragon sword was in despair. Could it be that a divine weapon was going to fall to such a state? Lin Xian sneered. "Don't worry, you can't threaten me." The Hellfire Dragon sword said, "Kid, you're too arrogant. Who do you think you are? If it was that old man, it would be fine." But he seemed to have left. The old man he was talking about was naturally Xia Zheyo. In his opinion, only such a person could withstand it. The kid in front of him was completely useless. Facing the shroud that covered the sky, Lin Xian didn't dodge at all. This time, he took out the heaven-devouring jar. The black jar glowed and created a terrifying vortex to meet the attack. In an instant, it collided with the shroud. The two collided, and the entire sky shook violently. Countless cracks spread out in all directions. At this moment, everyone in the first level of hell felt it. Countless people looked up at the sky, their faces full of fear. What was that? Damn it. Why was there such a terrifying aura? Chapter 5000. A violent rumble resounded between heaven and earth as the hellfire tornado roared. "Wow, you blocked it. How did you do that?" He stared fixedly at the black jar. On the other side, the demonic man's face was filled with fear and disbelief. "How could I block it?" He knew the power of the shroud better than anyone else. Even Luo Sha frowned at the sight. He also stared at the black jar. Is it the great emperor's weapon? In his opinion, the shroud was related to the great emperor. The only thing that could block his attack was a weapon related to the Great Emperor. That was the Great Emperor's weapon. His opponent was from the Great Emperor clan. "Who are you?" Rakshasa asked coldly. "Who am I?" "You don't need to know." Hand over the portrait of Ksitigarbha. Lin Xian held the heaven-swallowing jar and said coldly. Rakshasa also snorted coldly. "Humph, so what if you haven't Great Emperor's weapon? With your strength, the power you can unleash is at most on par with mine. Is that so? Let's see who will be in despair later." Lin Xian roared, and the heaven-swallowing jar emitted a terrifying light. A black vortex covered the sky and swallowed the shroud, trying to swallow it. The shroud actually emitted a chaotic aura to block it. The two super weapons clashed, and the sky collapsed. The demonic man was sent flying, his face filled with fear. The place was completely shattered. The Hellfire Dragon's sword also roared crazily. "Damn. And Great Emperor's weapon. You actually haven't Great Emperor's weapon?" He felt like he was going crazy. Rakshasa's face was cold. He said, "It's useless. We'll draw at most." In his opinion, the Great Emperor's weapon was already his strongest trump card. However, Lin Xian said, "Draw? Are you sure?" His body swayed, and he charged over. Rakshasa waved his hand, and a shield appeared in his hand. "It's useless. I can still block your sword." The Hellfire Dragon's sword hit the jade shield, and a deafening sound was heard. However, the shield did not shatter. His opponent blocked it. However, Lin Xian's trump card was not the Hellfire Dragon's sword. He summoned the Great Dragon Sword Soul and slashed out, causing the jade shield to shake violently. The light dimmed, and cracks appeared on its surface. How could this be? This time, Rakshasa's expression changed. He stared at the sword shadow. "Damn it. How could you have such a weapon?" He was really crazy. Could it be that the other party had two extreme weapons? He had never heard of anyone who was so heaven-defying. He swung his sword again. This time, one of Luo Sha's arms was chopped off, and half of his body was shattered. He spat out a mouthful of blood as he flew back, his expression extremely ugly. The bewitching man in the distance was in despair. Was Luo Sha going to be defeated? Moreover, it was very likely that failure meant death. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up. The next sword strike would take his opponent's life. However, at that moment, the Rakshasa roared, and the shroud that was fighting against the heaven-devouring jar in the sky instantly rushed back. They surrounded him. He gritted his teeth and said, "Brat, I didn't expect you to be able to make me reach this step. However, I won't let you succeed." As he spoke, he formed a seal with his palms, and countless mysterious runes appeared around him. Then the shroud covered him tightly. No. The bewitching man in the distance saw this scene and roared crazily. His eyes were filled with despair. It was obvious that the Rakshasa had to pay a huge price to use such an ultimate technique. Lin Xian also frowned. A cold wind blew between heaven and earth. He wanted to make a move, but a very terrifying barrier appeared and blocked him. In the next moment, the Rakshasa in the shroud raised his head. Lin Xian could no longer see him. He could only see a pair of eyes. At a glance, his scalp went numb and his body turned cold. What kind of eyes were those? They were emotionless. Lin Xian now suspected that this was not Rakshasa at all. The other party was already dead. He did not know what kind of existence this was. The shroud had an extremely strange power. Whoosh! The figure that was shrouded in the shroud rushed over and reached out with a hand. He charged over. Lin Xian was shocked. Previously, the Rakshas's hand was also as white as jade, but now it was rotten. White bones could be seen in many places on it. However, its power was comparable to divine iron. It directly tore through the void and grabbed towards his throat and heart. Lin Xian slashed out with his sword. The fire dragon sword slashed on it and released a series of flames. However, it was not cut off. At the critical moment, he used the Shadowless Heavens net movement technique to dodge quickly. Only then did he manage to dodge the attack. Then, her face darkened. It seemed like she could only use her full strength. After all, to use the great dragon sword soul at full strength would consume too much energy. However, there was no other way now. Fortunately, since last time, the sword world had recovered a bit of strength. It was enough for Lin Xian to use 2 swords. He had to get rid of the other party within 2 swords. Thinking of this, Lin Xian held the great dragon sword soul and slashed down with both hands. Roar! A dragon's roar sounded between heaven and earth. The power of this sword was too strong. Even though the Rakshasa had become an unknown existence, he was still sent flying. One of his hands was broken, but he still stood up. With the shroud, he seemed to have become an immortal existence. It was useless. A cold voice came out. I am now immortal and indestructible. Immortal and indestructible? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Even the great emperor was unable to escape this fate, let alone you. Pretending to be a ghost, watch me kill you. This second sword was even more terrifying. When this sword slashed down, heaven and earth continued to shatter. The entire hell seemed to have been split into 2 halves. This time, the Rakshas's injuries were even more severe. The shroud almost flew out of his body. Half of his body was broken, and the shroud on his body had also become dim. The Rakshasa let out a frantic and uneasy cry. Lin Xian frowned. 2 swords did not kill the other party? This shroud was too strange. If he used his strength again, it would be very difficult for him to hold on. Furthermore, hell was so dangerous. Could it be that he had to return empty-handed today? Lin Xian furrowed his brows tightly. The Rakshasa on the other side seemed to be even more terrified. He let out a beast-like howl, then threw out a scroll from his storage ring. As for him, he fled to the other side. He ran away. Lin Xian was stunned for a moment, but he soon understood. His great dragon sword soul was an existence comparable to an extreme weapon. These 2 swords were not easy for the other party. He was even afraid that he would use the 3rd sword, so he ran away. Ignoring the shroud, Lin Xian's body flashed, and he grabbed the scroll. In the next moment it opened, and a golden light spilled out. It was as if hell had turned into heaven. The hellfire dragon sword flew out wildly. Hang on, don't let this light near me. At this moment, the bones of the dead around hell melted quickly, as if this golden light could purify heaven and earth. It was indeed the work of Ksitigarbha. Lin Xian knew that only Ksitigarbha had such power. Great. He felt the infernal evil eye on his back twitching uneasily. It was obviously afraid of this power. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian kept the scroll and landed. This battle could be said to be very difficult. Lin Xian used the power of the great dragon sword, which caused his body to be in extreme pain. It seemed that he had to go back and rest well. The Rakshasa had run away, and the demonic man was already dead. In the battle between the great dragon sword soul and the shroud, the power that was released had already torn him to pieces. The demonic aura on Lin Xian's body also slowly disappeared. There was no one left. He did not need to hide anymore. It's you. However, at this moment, a cry of surprise was heard. Lin Xian's face darkened. Who is it? Come out. He stomped his foot, and a force directly shattered the ground. Then, a figure flew out from the ground. This person was holding a tortoise shell, and her face was extremely pale. She looked at Lin Xian with a face full of shock. It's you, kid. Hand it over. Lin Xian also smiled. He realized that the person hiding under the ground was not someone else but Yin Tianfeng. Why was this guy here? Chapter 5001. You saw what happened before? Lin Xian asked coldly. That's right. Kid, hand over the scroll obediently. Also, hand over all the treasures on you, and I won't tell anyone. If not, when I report to San Saint Hall, you will be dead. Yin Tianfeng shouted coldly. Lin Xian laughed. You really are an idiot. If you said that you didn't see it, you might still be able to live. Do you think I will let you go now? Yin Tianfeng scoffed. Why? Don't tell me you dare to make a move on me? Don't forget that you are from Seoul, and I am from San Saint Hall. My grandfather is the 5th elder of Killing Hall. He said that the power that he can control is not something that you can imagine. If you offend me, there will be no place for you in hell. Do you want to be chased by countless assassins like those people before? If you don't, kneel down and hand over the treasures. Then you can live. Lin Xian laughed when he heard that. What are you laughing at? Lin Xian said, I am laughing at your ignorance. Who told you that I have to survive in hell? I came here for this scroll. Now that I have it, I can leave hell at any time. So, what you said before can't threaten me. Damn it. Yin Tianfeng's pupils constricted. Did I think wrongly? To him, Lin Xian should be here for the inheritance of the Supreme Emperor. After all, with Lin Xian's talent, he could stay here and get the supreme technique of the Supreme Emperor. This was something that every expert wanted. However, Lin Xian didn't seem to care at all. Acting, Lin Xian must be acting. He scoffed. I don't believe that you can bear to leave. However, Lin Xian didn't reply and just attacked. With a slash, Yin Tianfeng was sent flying. His arms were chopped off, and he fell into a pool of blood. He roared crazily, You dare to hurt me? Why wouldn't I dare? Lin Xian broke the man's legs with a single stomp. Aren't you high and mighty? Don't you want to fight with me? Come, I will give you a chance. Previously in the Hell Canyon, the other party was so overbearing. Lin Xian was too lazy to pay attention to it because he wanted to cultivate his physique. Now he would let the other party know who was the true expert. Damned brat, if you have the ability, then don't use your weapon and fight me fairly. Yin Tianfeng roared crazily. To him, the opponent was only relying on the strength of his weapon. In terms of true strength, he did not fear the other party at all. All right, I will fulfill your wish. Lin Xian nodded and kept the Hellfire Dragon sword. Come on. Yin Tianfeng stood up. A cruel smile appeared on his face as he charged forward like a bolt of lightning. Then he continuously struck out with his palms. Heavenly Wind, 10 strikes. He struck out 10 palms in a row, sweeping across the world. This was his most powerful technique. The other party didn't have any weapons, so how could he fight him? Lin Xian didn't use a weapon. Instead, he swung his fist. 6-Dao fist. It pressed forward and collided with the other party's palm. Boom. The sky fell, and the earth cracked. The palm shadows that the other party sent out were quickly shattered. After shattering 7 fists, Lin Xian's fist started to slow down. On the other hand, Yin Tianfeng was completely dumbfounded. He was continuously pushed back by this force. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. How was that possible? He was crazy. The other party didn't use any weapons, but the other party was still so strong. Could it be that the other party's strength had surpassed his? What kind of joke was this? He was someone who had killed 5 great sages, all by himself. I don't believe it. Yin Tianfeng roared in rage. Shadow God Claw. His 5 fingers formed a claw that tore apart the sky. At that moment, he seemed to have turned into an ancient beast. A terrifying aura shook the sky. Boom. Lin Xian formed seals with his palms and unleashed the seal of the fearless lion. A golden lion covered the sky and shattered the divine claw of his opponent. Not only that, but it also tore open the other party's body and shattered Yin Tianfeng into pieces. Do you still want to continue? Lin Xian asked calmly. Damn it, I am not convinced. Yin Tianfeng roared in retaliation. However, in the next moment, he realized that Lin Xian was already in front of him. What speed, what movement technique was that? Shadowless Heaven's Net. Damn, you actually cultivated Shadowless Heaven's Net. Yin Tianfeng was stunned. He wanted to retreat, but a hand grabbed his shoulder and tore it apart. His body was ripped apart. His internal organs were shattered, and he was terrified. At that moment, Lin Xian pointed out with his finger, using his finger as a sword. Shura sword technique. With a finger on his forehead, Yin Tianfeng's head cracked open. His soul was also shaking nonstop. Lin Xian said coldly, "Now, do you know the gap between the two of us?" Yin Tianfeng was in despair. He was badly injured, while Lin Xian was unharmed. Was there a need to mention the gap? He lost. He wasn't Lin Xian's opponent at all. "I lost." Yin Tianfeng gritted his teeth. However, he was shouting in his heart, "Wait for me. Once I return, I will bring all of San St. Hall's strength to kill you. I will take back everything you have." He swore that he wouldn't let Lin Xian off. However, on the surface, he lowered his head and admitted defeat. Lin Xian looked ahead with a cold smirk on his face. "I said that if you fight with me, you will die if you lose." As he said that, he waved his hand and used Shura sword technique to slice Yin Tianfeng's soul apart. Pui! Yin Tianfeng's soul slowly disappeared. He couldn't believe it, even until he died. He couldn't believe that Lin Xian killed him, just like that. How dare he? Wasn't he afraid of his grandfather's revenge? Wasn't he afraid of being hunted down by Murdering Hall? Suddenly, he regretted it. What kind of person did he offend? He was simply a demon king. He was fearless. Lin Xian waved his hand and took Yin Tianfeng's storage ring as he looked at Yin Tianfeng's destroyed body and soul. According to him, Yin Tianfeng had an extraordinary status. Lin Xian wondered if he could learn the emperor's skills. After obtaining the storage ring, his figure flickered, and he left the place. He found a mountain range built in a mortal cave, and went in. After entering, Lin Xian checked Yin Tianfeng's storage ring and frowned. There was indeed an emperor's skill, but it was also Shadowless Heaven's Net. He didn't even learn Shura sword technique. From the looks of it, these were the two skills that were commonly circulated. As for the other skills, there were probably other requirements. Perhaps it was battle achievements or a higher cultivation level. Moreover, there were some changes at this moment. A blood-red token suddenly shone and formed an old man's face. "Who dared to kill my grandson?" The face was about to rush out, but it was smashed by Lin Xian. The token shattered into pieces, and the figure slowly disappeared. However, a venomous voice was still heard. "No matter who you are, I won't let you go." Lin Xian snorted at such a threat. He scanned the area with his Tianji god eyes and heaved a sigh of relief when he didn't find anything threatening. In the next moment, Lin Xian waved his hand and took out a scroll. The most important thing was to remove the hell's evil eye rune from his body. Chapter 5002. The portrait of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva was very magical. It shone brightly and had the power to purify everything. After Lin Xian unfolded it, he felt that he was enveloped by thousands of golden lights. The next moment, he became incomparably holy. The infernal evil eye behind him kept roaring. It seemed to want to jump out and tear the world apart. Lin Xian turned his back to the portrait of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. He felt as if thousands of sharp swords had pierced him. He suffered pain, but the pain of the infernal evil eye was 10 times more intense than him. There was black smoke rising from his body. Lin Xian gritted his teeth. Finally, the infernal evil eye behind him slowly dissipated. It let out an unwilling roar. There was no more. That was great. Lin Xian looked around and found that the infernal evil eye had really disappeared. He breathed a sigh of relief. He finally didn't have to be threatened by this thing anymore. After tidying up, Lin Xian felt that it was about time to go out. After he went out, he found that you and the others were still looking for him. He quickly met up with them. You asked, "Where did you go?" Lin Xian said, "I was chased by someone, so I escaped." He naturally wouldn't tell them the truth. He just made up a story. This made you and the others frown. In their opinion, Lin Xian should have left because he was timid. It seemed that this genius wasn't much. He was a little timid. They shook their heads and didn't say anything. They took Lin Xian back to the first level of hell. After they went out, they returned to Soul Sage Lord's territory and handed in the mission. Soul Sage Lord was naturally very happy. Although they had suffered heavy losses this time, the Blood Evil Camp was even worse. Moreover, the Blood Evil Camp seemed to have returned empty-handed. Lin Xian naturally knew what had happened, and he knew that the worst was not the Blood Slaughter Camp, but the people of the Killing Temple. The 50 killing saints of the Killing Temple had all been killed. Even Yin Tianfeng had died. Sure enough, not long after, the people of the Killing Temple walked over angrily and asked about the situation. You and the others frowned. Yin Tianfeng had died. They naturally knew about this genius. This was a genius that Sand Sacred Hall had nurtured with all their might. The other party was also the 5th elder of the Killer Temple. It could be said that his status was extremely noble. Who would have thought that he would fall here? You said, "We have never seen a cloudy day before, but you should know how terrifying hell is." Even the first layer of hell was extremely dangerous. He might have been killed by some mysterious existence. The people from the Killing Temple gritted their teeth in anger. They would not give up. They had to find out who dared to kill Yin Tianfeng. They wanted to tear him to shreds. When Lin Xian faced these people, his face was expressionless. If these people knew that it was him, how would they react? Of course, this secret would probably never be revealed. After that, Moon and the others returned to cultivate and recover. Lin Xian once again went to look for the Soul Sage Lord. He said what he thought. When the Soul Sage Monarch heard this, he was shocked. You still want to go to the 18 levels of hell? Moreover, you want to go to the 2nd level this time. He was too shocked. One had to know that there was already a cloudy wind on the 1st level. If such a genius had fallen, there was no need to mention the 2nd and 3rd levels. It would be even more dangerous. Lin Xian said, "Please help me. I must break through." Lin Xian was no longer threatened by the infernal evil eye, but he did not plan to give up. He planned to find the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation again to increase his reincarnation power. It would be best if he could turn the Tianji Divine eye into the Rinnegan. This way, his strength would be greatly improved. Only then would he be qualified to compete with the Dragon Emperor faction. Have you really decided? The Soul Sage Lord asked in a deep voice. Lin Xian nodded. He had made up his mind. The Soul Sage Lord said, "Well, a genius like you is indeed worth the risk, but you have to wait. Wait 3 months. The 2nd layer of hell will not open so easily." Then Lin Xian began to wait. During this time, he had been cultivating Shadowless Sky River and Ashura Sword technique. These 2 top divine abilities were very difficult to cultivate. Every time there was a breakthrough, there would be an earth-shattering change in power. 3 months later, Lin Xian was even more proficient in cultivating the 2 divine abilities. On this day, Moon came again. "I am under the orders of the Sage Lord to bring you to hell." To be honest, Moon was very curious. Wasn't this guy a coward? Why did he still dare to go in? Lin Xian said, "Thank you." He followed Moon and soared into the sky. You gave him a storage ring that contained some resources for recovery and cultivation. At the same time, there were some maps that contained information about hell. Soon, they entered the 1st layer of hell. However, Moon did not leave. She continued to bring Lin Xian forward. There was a passage between each layer. It could only be opened at a specific time. Therefore, those who wanted to go to the 2nd layer were waiting near the passage. Sure enough, when Lin Xian and Moon arrived, there were already many people gathered around. These people's eyes were shining, and their auras were powerful. None of them could be weak. They were all great saints. Therefore, when they saw that Lin Xian was only a great saint, they frowned. Who was this person? Did he have a death wish? Some people sneered. There were always arrogant geniuses who thought that their strength was outstanding. They wanted to enter the second layer of hell, but they were killed instantly after entering. This person was probably no exception. No one was optimistic about Lin Xian, and Lin Xian could not be bothered. How could these people know about his strength? Finally, after waiting for another 3 days, the passage ahead appeared. The people around said that it was okay. They could go in. However, no one went in. They were all waiting. It seemed that not only could they go in, but the people inside could also come out. A few figures flew out from inside. Those people were very powerful. As soon as they appeared, they looked around vigilantly and then quickly fled. These people came from all corners of the underworld, and some of them were top-notch experts. Some of the hidden geniuses could not be underestimated. Also, you must be careful after entering. The old people inside might bully the newcomers. You must know that although everyone belongs to the underworld, the rule of the underworld is to kill. It's even more so inside. No one will protect you, even if you're a member of the Soul Sage Lord. In there, identity is not the most important. The strength is the most important. Therefore, don't be careless. Lin Xian nodded. I understand. He took a deep breath and walked forward. I wish you good luck. Moon sighed in his heart. To be honest, he was not optimistic about Lin Xian. Looking at the disappearing figure in front, he shook his head and left. It would take at least half a year for Lin Xian to come out from the second layer. Therefore, there was no need for him to stay here. He had to go back and report. Lin Xian's figure flashed and walked inside. After entering, he felt that the second layer was even more sinister and terrifying. The monstrous blood qi seemed to be able to drive a great saint crazy. Chapter 5003. After Lin Xian entered, he walked forward. Suddenly, the ground split open. A terrifying blood-red spear shot towards him. The terrifying aura was enough to make anyone's blood run cold. At the critical moment, Lin Xian's figure flashed as he used Shadowless Heaven's net and dodged the attack by a hair's breadth. At the same time, the infernal sword flew out and slashed. With a clang, the divine spear was sent flying. At the same time, a figure retreated. When Lin Xian saw the figure, his face completely darkened. It was a blood-red zombie with a blood-red spear in his hand. It was extremely terrifying. He stared at Lin Xian and revealed a sinister smile. A mere Saint King was actually able to avoid my assassination. Interesting. It seemed that someone had entered this time. After saying that, he tore open the ground and disappeared. Lin Xian didn't chase after him. He didn't know who else was here other than the blood zombie. He didn't know much about the second level, so he had to be careful. Looking around, his face darkened as he shouted coldly, "Get out here!" With that, he charged into the distance. In the void far away, 2 figures appeared, holding blood-red sabers in their hands. Their faces were cold. "Good kid, you can actually detect our presence." "Then go to hell." The 2 sabers emitted a bright light that enveloped Lin Xian and collided with the Hellfire Dragon sword. With a clang, the 2 were sent flying. Damn it, the sword in this guy's hand is not ordinary. So what? Attack. The 2 of them, one on the left and one on the right, began to charge towards Lin Xian quickly. These 2 were both great sages and had terrifying strength. However, how could they be a match for Lin Xian? Lin Xian waved the Hellfire Dragon sword and directly split open their heads. Blood dyed the sky red. The headless corpses fell. The 2 great sages widened their eyes in disbelief. They really didn't expect that the other party could kill them in one strike. The two of them even realized that the other party was using the legendary Azura sword technique. Could a young man use the Azura sword technique to such an extent? It was too unbelievable. Lin Xian was shocked as well. No wonder it was an emperor's skill. If the first sword of the Azura sword skill was already so terrifying, how much more terrifying would the remaining 6 sword moves be? However, with his current strength, he was still unable to use it. Next, Lin Xian continued on his journey. He discovered many battles. There were some who came in like him, but they didn't even live for half a day before they were assassinated. There were also some experts who were fighting with each other. The fighting was earth-shattering. Lin Xian saw 2 more. One of them was a blood-colored bat. Its wings were slashed open, covering the heaven and earth. He was fighting with a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was no ordinary man either. He waved his scythe like a god of death. The 2 of them struck the ground from the sky, and one of them even reached the blood sea. In short, it was extremely terrifying. In the end, their energy was about to envelop Lin Xian. Lin Xian hurriedly used Shadowless Heaven's net and quickly left. It was too terrifying. Both of them were extremely terrifying existences in the Great Sage Intermediate stage. I wonder if there are any Saint Monarch level existences here. And you actually dare to come to my territory. When Lin Xian once again arrived at a black land, the ground cracked open and a black chariot appeared. There was a group of figures on it. He was wearing black armor and holding a black sword in his hand. He was incomparably terrifying. Countless skeletons appeared around him. These weren't ordinary skeletons. They were formed after the death of a great sage. The long sword in the middle-aged figure's hand carried an extremely terrifying power. It controlled the skeletons and charged forward. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. It was too terrifying. This power wasn't something he could resist. Damn it. No matter how strong he was, it was a one-on-one battle. The other party brought an army of skeletons. How could he fight? However, what made him even more shocked was that he discovered that the other party was controlling the skeletons with that sword. That sword had the power of reincarnation. Of course, it was definitely not the reincarnation sword. However, the power of reincarnation shocked him. He didn't expect to discover the power of reincarnation as soon as he arrived. "Young man, you can't escape," the man in black armor said coldly. He enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "Senior, I just arrived here. I didn't mean to offend you. I'm willing to give you a top-grade treasure sword. Please let me go." As he spoke, Lin Xian took out the Hellfire Dragon sword. The Hellfire Dragon sword scolded him directly. "Damn it, kid, you dare to trick me?" Lin Xian warned him. Then he said telepathically, "I'll beat him at his own game. Do you understand? When you kill him, his sword has the power of reincarnation. I can share some with you. You can control the power of reincarnation. Give it to me?" The Hellfire Dragon sword was shocked. Lin Xian didn't answer. Instead, he blinked at him. "All right, since the Hellfire Dragon said so, I'll believe you this time." He became quiet. The man in black armor in front of him shouted coldly, "What treasure? You're just a great sage?" His eyes were filled with disdain. However, when he saw the Hellfire Dragon sword, his eyes lit up. This sword seemed to be unusual. The Hellfire Dragon sword was proud. "Of course, it was my treasure sword. Present it." The man in black armor in front of him shouted coldly. 2 skeletons walked up and took the Hellfire Dragon sword away. Lin Xian became extremely respectful. He lowered his head. However, there was a shocking light in his eyes. "Senior, are you satisfied?" Lin Xian asked with a smile. The man in black armor held the Hellfire Dragon sword in his left hand. He waved it gently and tore a crack of tens of thousands of meters in the sky. He laughed loudly. I'm very satisfied. Kid, although you're an ant and trespassed into my territory, I can show you mercy and spare your life. Let's go. He waved his hand, and the skeletons opened up a path. Lin Xian clasped his fists. Thank you, Senior. He turned and left. When Lin Xian left the skeletons, the Hellfire Dragon sword suddenly emitted a terrifying light. You think you're worthy of me? He slashed at the man in black armor. The man in black's pupils shrank. He didn't expect the Hellfire Dragon sword to be able to attack. Furthermore, he had caught him off guard and was charging straight at him. You're courting death. He roared and wanted to raise his sword to block. However, the Hellfire Dragon sword was very fast. It directly cut off his entire right hand. At the same time, it carried the black demon sword and soared into the sky, tearing the 9 heavens apart. Damn it, the man in black armor was angry. This sword couldn't kill him, but it took away his black sword. This was unbearable. Go after him. Kill him for me. Tear that sword and that brat into pieces. He roared at the sky. The white bone army around him split into 2 groups and charged forward, covering the sky and covering the earth. One went for the Hellfire Dragon sword, the other went for Lin Xian. At this moment, countless people in the 2nd level of hell were alarmed. Heavens, the Black Devil Lord was angry. Who made him so angry? Countless people were shocked. Some of the plants in hell sent news. It was a young man who just came in. It can't be? Who was so daring? Could it be that some of the top young geniuses in the underworld had entered? Chapter 5004. Those top geniuses were very terrifying. They were very close to the emperor. Therefore, only such a genius could be so daring. However, they didn't know that this person wasn't from the underworld. It was Lin Xian. The moment Lin Xian left the Bone Army, he used Shadowless Heaven's Net. He began to fight with the Hellfire Dragon sword. When the Hellfire Dragon sword first obtained the black sword, it laughed loudly. It felt the terrifying power of reincarnation on it and was very happy. Although it had an extraordinary background and was like a divine sword, it didn't have the power of reincarnation. If it had it, its grade and power could be increased again. But very quickly, he felt that something was wrong. That was because he discovered that endless white bones were rushing towards him. One by one, the bone swords and bone weapons kept attacking its body. It made its body shake. Damn it, it hurt so much. The Hellfire Dragon eyes kept roaring. Lin Xian sent a voice transmission and gave the other party a place to go. Then he used his movement technique and quickly disappeared, because he was also being chased by many bone armies. Lin Xian's movement technique became more and more proficient in this pursuit. Soon he shook off the bone army and arrived at a mountain peak. He began to wait. After waiting for about 2 days, the Hellfire Dragon sword returned. Its body became dim, and it was about to go crazy. Damn it. It actually made me suffer such a loss. I will definitely kill it. It roared crazily. Lin Xian said, "Where's the black sword?" "It's here." There was a black sword under the Hellfire Dragon sword. It was the sword that Lin Xian wanted. A sharp light appeared in his eyes. He directly swallowed it with the heaven swallowing jar. The Hellfire Dragon sword said, "Kid, I spent so much effort. You said that you would give me the power of reincarnation." Lin Xian said, "Don't worry, I'll take a look first." He also entered the heaven swallowing jar. Endless darkness enveloped her. A black whirlpool was bobbing up and down. The Fire Dragon sword waited at the side while Lin Xian went in. After that, he brought the black sword into the sword world. He sat down cross-legged, and the black sword wanted to resist. Lin Xian used the power of the sword world and transformed it into 2 heavenly monuments, directly suppressing it. Then he activated his heavenly secret god eyes and started to absorb the reincarnation energy. The heavenly secret god eyes became stronger and stronger, but the black sword became dimmer and dimmer. Just like that, half a year passed. On this day, Lin Xian stood up with a smile on his face. The power of reincarnation on the black sword was completely absorbed by him. He could feel that his heavenly secret divine eyes had become even stronger than before. He could even construct a simple reincarnation passage. Lin Xian was overjoyed. He walked out. The Hellfire Dragon Sword said, "Brat, you took so long. Give me the power of reincarnation." Lin Xian said, "I'll give you two choices. First, I'll give you the power of reincarnation. Second, I can reduce the time you have to work as a coolie." "What do you mean?" the Hellfire Dragon Sword asked. Lin Xian said, "Your remnant soul is still expanding your territory. Do you plan to expand your territory for the rest of your life? 10,000 years, 20,000 years, 100,000 years? You're a remnant soul wandering outside of reincarnation. You won't die, but you won't recover. If I want, I can let you expand your territory forever. Of course, I'm a kind person. I won't do that. If you're willing to give up the power of reincarnation, I plan to reduce the time by 100 years. Only 100 years if you can't. Reduce it by 1,000 years." The Hellfire Dragon Sword roared crazily. The corners of Lin Xian's lips curled up. Since the other party was already subdued by Xia Juyo, then the coolie would have unlimited time. Reducing 1,000 years from unlimited time was no different from not reducing it at all. The Hellfire Dragon Sword fell for it, but Lin Xian wouldn't tell it to the other party. He nodded. "All right, I'll reduce it by 1,000 years. If you can let me get more reincarnation energy, I'll reduce it by a few thousand years every time. How about it?" "All right, it's a deal." The Hellfire Dragon Sword seemed to see the hope of freedom. "Aunt, I can feel your presence again." In a distant valley, the man in black armor roared crazily. Around him was an army of skeletons. After half a year, he finally felt the presence of that person from back then. "How dare you snatch my black sword and lie to me? I won't let you go." He led the army of skeletons and charged towards Lin Xian. "Not good, I've been discovered." The Hellfire Dragon Sword saw the army of skeletons surrounding them. His face turned green. "Kid, think of a way. These are the corpses of great sages." Lin Xian's face was cold. "You dare to come? Aunt, return it to me, I'll tear you to pieces." The man in black armor roared crazily. He was fooled by a young man, and he couldn't accept it. Moreover, this matter had spread. The experts and living beings in this area were all laughing at him. Lin Xian said, "You want your sword, right? Return it to you." He waved his hand, and a black sword flew out and flew forward. The man in black armor's eyes lit up. He grabbed it, and then his face turned ugly. "Damn it, the power of reincarnation is gone. You destroyed my reincarnation rune. I want you to die." He turned around and swung his sword. "So that thing is called the reincarnation rune. Tell me, where did you get it? I can spare your life." Lin Xian snorted. "You dare to covet the reincarnation rune?" The man in black armor roared crazily. He sneered. "Spare my life? I'm a mid-stage great sage. Why do I need you to spare my life? Go to hell." The sword energy shone again and descended from the 9 heavens. It could cut through heaven and earth. In an instant, it enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted and didn't resist at all. Shadowless heavens net. He came to a distance, but the army of skeletons around him still sealed off this area. The man in black armor said, "You can't escape. Today is the day you die." Lin Xian smiled. You can control this army of skeletons because of the reincarnation rune. Now that the reincarnation rune is gone, you still want to control them? I can only say that you're too reckless. Oh no. The man in black armor's expression changed. He had a bad feeling about this. Indeed, he couldn't control them for too long. That was why he was so angry. However, it shouldn't be a problem to kill a young man. Lin Xian sneered. It seems that you won't give up until you see the coffin. Let me tell you, how should I use the power of reincarnation? His eyes shone with golden light, and a pair of golden heavenly eyes enveloped the entire army of skeletons. Reincarnation defied the heavens. The light of reincarnation flew out and enveloped the army of skeletons. In the next moment, these skeletons roared crazily. The green light in their eyes kept flickering as if it was about to be extinguished. Lin Xian's voice also sounded. You've already died in battle. Perhaps it was bad luck, or perhaps it was revenge. But in any case, you're already dead. Your souls will enter the 6 paths of reincarnation, live again. But someone interfered with the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation, leaving your remnant souls in the skeletons and unable to reincarnate. You can't be reborn. It's that person. Kill him, and you can enter reincarnation. Lin Xian pointed at the man in black armor. Chapter 5005. Damn brat, what are you doing? The black-armored man roared crazily. He was very afraid, but he soon sneered. You want to control this army of skeletons? What a joke. You should cultivate for 10,000 years. In his opinion, Lin Xian could not do it at all. However, he still underestimated the heavenly secret divine eyes. Lin Xian used the heavenly secret divine eyes, and a pair of golden eyes looked down in all directions. The light of reincarnation enveloped the army of skeletons. The army of skeletons roared crazily, and the green light in their eyes kept flickering. Their souls seemed to be leaving. Seeing this scene, the black-armored man's expression finally changed. No, damn it, he used the Dharma seal to suppress them. However, there were too many souls. Without the power of reincarnation, it was difficult for him to suppress them. Lin Xian pointed at the black-robed man and said loudly, Kill him, and your souls can ascend to heaven. I'll let you enter reincarnation. Roar! The army of skeletons roared, crazily. Then they turned their heads and stared at the black-armored man before pouncing over. No, damn it, how dare you? The black-armored man roared crazily, trying to escape. However, there were too many skeletons around him. In an instant, they enveloped him and tore him into pieces. It was not that the black-armored man was weak, but the skeletons around him were too powerful. They had obeyed the power of reincarnation before, and now they were angry. How could the black-armored man escape? He brought this upon himself. Lin Xian sneered and said, I'll help you enter reincarnation. He used the heavenly secret divine eyes to the extreme, forming a reincarnation vortex. Come in, your souls. The souls of the surrounding skeletons rose into the air and entered reincarnation. In this way, they could be reincarnated. The skeletons fell one after another, piling up into a mountain of skeletons. Beads of sweat dripped down Lin Xian's forehead. To be honest, such a long time of continuous reincarnation had consumed a lot of his energy. However, he felt that it was worth it. This time, his heavenly secret divine eyes had become stronger. The 18 levels of hell was indeed a good place. Next, he had to continue searching for the power of reincarnation. At this moment, the sound of applause rang out. Good technique. I didn't expect you to be able to use the power of reincarnation. Upon hearing this, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He turned around and shouted coldly, Who was it? Come out. A woman walked over from the front. She was dressed in a black robe and had a beautiful face. There was a smile on her face. "Don't be afraid. I don't have any ill intentions." "Then what do you want?" Lin Xian's face was cold. Hell was a cruel place, and no one would hold back. Naturally, he would not be careless. The woman in front of him was so mysterious. She actually didn't leave after seeing his methods. This showed that the other party was very confident. "Who are you?" Lin Xian asked again. "My name is Nai Luo, and I come from the Bridge of Helplessness." The Bridge of Helplessness? This was also one of the most powerful organizations in the underworld. But why was the other party looking for him? Nero laughed. "It seems like you don't know anything. Well, for a sage king like you to be able to come here, you must have broken through some restrictions. The people here were all here to cultivate and improve their strength. Every level of hell was extremely mysterious, so it was also extremely dangerous. Not only did they have to face the dangers of hell, but they also had to face the dangers of the people around them. And fighting alone was not a wise choice. Therefore, some like-minded people gathered together to form small groups. I'm here to invite you to join the Illusionary Flowers Reflected Moon." The Illusionary Flowers Reflected Moon. Lin Xian frowned. Nero laughed. "That's right. The Illusionary Flowers. Reflected Moon is the organization we are currently in. How about it? Are you interested?" Nero said that the man in black armor from before was not the only one. The others also have some special methods. You might even meet someone from an organization. At that time, no matter how strong you are, I'm afraid you can only escape. You might even be killed. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Although he had consumed a lot of energy, he could still feel it. The woman in front of him did not seem to have any ill intentions. So he nodded and said, "Okay, I am indeed interested." Nero laughed and waved her hand. "Come with me." With that, she turned and flew into the distance. Lin Xian followed her. He took out an elixir and swallowed it. He quickly circulated the immortality technique to recover the energy he had consumed. The two of them flew for about half a day before slowly coming to a stop. Nero looked at the lake in front of her. With a wave of her hand, a passage appeared in the middle of the lake. She flew in. Lin Xian followed her in. Before entering, he had already used the heavenly secret god, Eye to check. There was indeed a powerful aura below. It should be the other members of the Illusionary Flowers Reflected Moon. After entering, there was indeed a different world inside. There was an underground cave with many people inside. These people were all great sages. There were even a few great sages in the intermediate stage. One could imagine that Lin Xian, a sage king, was here. It was indeed very strange. "Nero, you're back." The people inside smiled and greeted the woman in black. When they saw that Nero did not come back alone, they were all puzzled. Did someone come back again? "Nero, is it a new person you found?" They all looked at Lin Xian and then frowned. He was only a sage king. They were really stunned. Someone said, "Nero, why is the person you found so weak this time?" As soon as this was said, the others laughed. Indeed, the weakest among them was a great sage. There were even people in the intermediate stage of the great sage. A sage king was indeed not enough. However, Nero said, "What do you people know? He is a top-notch genius. Although he was only a sage king, his means were very terrifying. He could use the power of reincarnation." "Oh, really?" As soon as this was said, the others' expressions changed. The fact that he could come to the second level meant that he did have some means. As for the power of reincarnation, it surprised them even more. This kind of power was a legendary power. It was very magical. "Nero, is what you said true? Does he really know how to use the power of reincarnation?" At this moment, another voice came from the front. Lin Xian also looked up. In the next moment, he was stunned. He found that there was a throne in front of him. On the throne was not a person, but a floating mirror. There was a strange flower in the mirror that kept spinning. It was a black flower that was unusually demonic. The illusionary flowers reflected moon. It seemed that the person who created this organization was related to this mirror. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. When he was looking at the other party, the mirror was also looking at him. Soon his figure was reflected in the mirror. Chapter 5006. Young man, what's your name? The mirror asked in a deep voice. Lin Xian said, My name is Lin Wudi. Lin Wudi. The others were shocked. What an arrogant name. He actually dared to call himself invincible. The mirror kept shaking. He was indeed arrogant. Lin Wudi, do you really know how to use the power of reincarnation? Can you show it to me? Lin Xian's eyes shone with the light of reincarnation, forming a reincarnation vortex. When the surrounding people felt this power, they all exclaimed in surprise. It was indeed the power of reincarnation. They looked at Lin Xian enviously. The power of reincarnation was extremely mysterious. Very few people could control it. The mirror in front of him smiled. That's great. Now, I'm inviting you on behalf of the illusionary flowers, water and moon. Are you willing to join? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. I don't know much about you guys. Can you tell me more about it? The mirror said, That's right. It seems like you haven't been here for long. There are countless organizations on the 18th level of hell. These organizations are all formed by the people who came here to train. In this organization, we have some restrictions. For example, we are not allowed to betray. Of course, there are more restrictions. As long as the organization is in danger, you can come back. Other times, we won't restrict you. Also, as long as you find the location of the treasure, you can use the power of the organization to attack it together. Even our organizations only exist on the 18th level of hell. As long as you leave here and go to other places in the underworld, there are no restrictions at all. Lin Xian understood after hearing this. Actually, it was because the 18th level of hell was too dangerous. These people formed temporarily to improve their safety. They were also afraid of danger, so they formed some conditions. For example, they couldn't betray, etc. Although Lin Xian was very confident in himself, the 18th level of hell was also dangerous. He might come into contact with these people at any time. Moreover, he didn't know much about this place. It was good to have a group of people who could help him provide information. After thinking about it, he nodded and said, Okay, I'm willing to join. Very good. The mirror stopped shaking, and a black flower flew out from it. It floated to Lin Xian's side. He said, This is the symbol of the illusionary flowers, water and moon. It can prove your identity. We can even contact our teammates. Lin Xian put the black flower away. Congratulations. You have become one of us. Narrow walked over with a smile and said, Next, I'm going to explore a place. Come with me. Lin Xian nodded. Narrow turned around and looked at the people around him. I still need 7 more helpers. This time, I am preparing to explore the spirit refining territory. Who is willing to go? Narrow's voice sounded out. The others were astonished. The spirit refining territory was not an ordinary place. Immediately, a few figures walked over and said that they were willing to go. Soon, the 7 of them were assembled. Among them, there were 2 great sages of the middle stage. It had to be said that it was truly shocking. One should know that a mid-stage great sage could already become an elder in the True Path sect and the other 2 great orthodoxies. Even in the clans of the ancients, they were still at the level of elders. His status was very high. Lin Xian had to look up to such a person before, but now he could stand shoulder to shoulder with these people. In fact, Lin Xian was confident that as long as he could condense the true Rinnegan, he would be able to surpass them. Let's go. Everyone is here. Including Lin Xian and Nero, there are a total of 9 people. Nero waved his hand and took out a black leaf. After everyone stood on it, they turned into a stream of light and flew quickly. Along the way, everyone was silent. Lin Xian looked around curiously. He had not been to many places on the 2nd level. Hence, he was amazed when he saw the various terrains. Suddenly, the ground below them split open. Another palm covered the sky and covered the earth. It was a palm made of bones. The palm was red in color with blood-red runes on it. It grabbed at the void. Lin Xian exclaimed. The others were shocked too. They thought that it was going to attack them. Nero formed a seal with his palm, and the black leaf changed direction. The blood-red palm did not attack them. Instead, it grabbed at the front. In the void, an angry roar could be heard. Then, the shadow of a blood mountain appeared in the sky. It was a blood-red bat. Each of them was as big as a 10,000 feet tall mountain. When they flapped their wings, the sky and the earth cracked. Their fangs tore everything apart. The 2 sides engaged in a fierce battle, as if 2 gods were fighting. Nero's face was cold. He naturally knew that such existences were very scary. One of them was enough to threaten their lives. Hence, he was prepared to take a detour. He formed a seal with his palm, and the black leaf changed direction, preparing to leave. However, at this moment, a cloud of blood-red mist rushed towards them. It turned out that a blood bat that was fighting in the sky had targeted them and was coming towards them. Not good. The black leaf quickly streaked past, turning into a bolt of lightning, narrowly dodging the attack. However, the blood bat spread its wings and flew away. Damn it, are we being targeted? When the others saw this scene, their faces turned extremely ugly. At this moment, a great sage middle stage expert snorted coldly. It's just a blood bat. Although it's powerful, if the 9 of us attack together, we can definitely kill it. Nero, quickly pull away and take him away. We'll attack. Nero nodded and sped up. The black leaf was even faster and turned into a stream of light. The blood bat chased after them. When they were far away from the battle, they stopped. 2 great sage middle stage experts waved their hands and terrifying laws rushed over. Nero also looked at Lin Xian and said, "Use the power of reincarnation to help us." Lin Xian nodded and said, "Rob." A pair of golden eyes appeared in the void and looked down at the blood-red bat. The light of reincarnation turned into the sword of reincarnation and attacked with overwhelming force. The blood-red bat was challenged. He roared at the sky. With his strength and power, these people were like ants in his eyes. Now that an ant dared to challenge him, how could he tolerate it? In an instant, he let out a terrifying roar and fought against the sword of reincarnation in the sky. The sword of reincarnation shattered and turned into a sea of reincarnation that swept between heaven and earth. It was used to affect the blood-red bat. This was a good opportunity. When Nero and the others saw this, they all attacked. These 8 experts were very powerful, especially the 2 great sage middle stage experts. One of them formed countless blood-red mountains that pressed down from the sky. The other held a blood-red saber in his hand. With a sweep, it destroyed everything. Nero even summoned a bridge of helplessness that appeared under the blood-red bat. It was used to affect the opponent's soul. Once the blood-red bat was completely enveloped by the bridge of helplessness, it was very likely that it would lose its memory and die. Chapter 5007. The blood-colored bat let out a crazy roar as it was surrounded by the group of people. It didn't expect these ants to be so terrifying. It roared and screamed for help. In the distance, another blood-colored bat rushed over. This made Narrow and the rest change their expressions. Oh no, they could still fight against one blood-colored bat. But if another one came, they wouldn't be able to fight against it. These things were far more powerful than them. Let's go. Helplessness roared, and they quickly moved. Lin Xian also took a deep breath and was about to leave. But at this moment, the void cracked and a huge iron rod flew through the air. With a clang, it hit one of the blood-colored bats and turned it into a bloody mist. This shocking scene caused Lin Xian and the others to be stunned. The other blood-colored bat was also stunned. Heaven and earth fell silent. The heavens were so terrifying. The people of the catoptric deflection were terrified. This was a peerless expert. Even Lin Xian's pupils constricted. The blood-colored bat was so terrifying that it had surpassed the mid-stage of the great sage realm. Even if he wanted to deal with it, he would have to use the power of the heaven-devouring jar, or the great dragon sword soul. But now, someone killed such a terrifying blood-colored bat with a single strike. How powerful was this person? The other blood-colored bat was also terrified and wanted to escape. But at this moment, the iron rod waved again and pressed down like an ancient demonic mountain. It directly tore the second blood-colored bat into pieces. Heaven and earth shattered, and endless cracks appeared. The two huge blood-colored bats fell. Their sage blood turned into a sea of blood that roared between heaven and earth. Helplessness was facing a powerful enemy. Was this person a friend or a foe? Lin Xian also took a deep breath. If it was a powerful enemy, he would have to use the power of the heaven-devouring jar. Thank you for your help. Helplessness cupped his fists and turned to leave. However, the iron rod in the air was like an iron chain crossing the river, blocking their path. What was the meaning of this? Helplessness frowned. Could it be that you want to attack me? You guys get lost. He stays. A cold voice was heard as the iron rod was pointed at Lin Xian. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. The other party was coming for him. Jihe and the others also frowned and said coldly, "We all belong to the Mirror's flower, Mirror's moon. Since we came together, we naturally have to leave together." Did he have a death wish? The huge iron cudgel in the sky came crashing down. Damn it! Hell roared furiously, striking out with the bridge of helplessness to resist. With a clang, he was almost sent flying. The bridge of helplessness was split into two halves. The people behind also shouted angrily and attacked one after another, and they couldn't stop it. The laws and divine abilities of the heavenly palace were completely obliterated by this iron staff. A few of them were also injured. He was too powerful, so powerful that they found it hard to resist. Lin Wudi, hurry up and leave. Fu Horror, we can still block his attack. However, Lin Xian shook his head. There was no need for that. He could see that the gap between them was too big, but there was no reason for them to die for him, so he didn't run. Instead, he looked at the iron cudgel in front of him and said coldly, "I don't think I know you. Why are you looking for me? Eat my cudgel first." The other party raised the iron cudgel and charged directly at Lin Xian. With one strike, the surrounding sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The entire void had turned into a state of chaos. Not good. Hell and the others' pupils shrank. They couldn't block such a powerful attack. Lin Xian definitely couldn't block it. Could it be that he wanted to kill him in one strike? Their eyes were filled with despair. However, a black vortex appeared in the shattered void. It kept spinning. The vortex directly blocked the iron cudgel's attack. The two were in a stalemate in the air. Then, the iron cudgel pressed down with an even more terrifying force. The vortex was torn apart, but Lin Xian had already arrived on the other side. He actually blocked it? Hell, and the others were shocked. They had personally experienced how terrifying the power of the iron cudgel was. They couldn't block a single strike even if they worked together. However, Lin Xian could block it alone. It was really unbelievable. It seemed that they had underestimated Lin Xian. It's useless. You can't kill me. Lin Xian said coldly, tell me your background. You're actually capable. You actually managed to dodge my attack. I can sense that you have an extremely strong reincarnation power, so I need you to help me do something. Lin Xian frowned after hearing this. I'm not familiar with you. Indeed, we don't know each other. However, you saved me, so I will naturally repay you. In the future, if you encounter any danger, old son, will help you settle it. What arrogance! Lin Xian smiled. Then if I ask you to kill the emperor, can you settle it too? Yes, the other party's voice was extremely confident. Moreover, I know that you should still need the power of reincarnation. I have it here. How about it? Are you interested? Old son, won't lie to you. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. He felt that this person was very interesting, although he was a little hot-tempered, and his attacks were terrifying. However, he didn't seem to be a bad person. He said, all right, I'll meet you then. He was also very curious about such a person. All right, follow me. The iron cudgel led the way in the air. Lin Xian rose into the air. Behind him, Hell and the others asked, are we really going? This guy was very mysterious and seemed to be very evil. The others were also frowning. Lin Xian said, it's fine. If there's any danger, we can still escape. I have a way. Well, narrow. And the others were also very curious about the origin of such a person. Hence, they all followed him. After flying for about 2 days, they finally arrived. This was already a very deep place in the second level of hell. The surroundings were very dangerous, and there were very few people here. Hellfire appeared in front of them again. This flame was very terrifying. Hell and the others had to use all their strength to resist it. The Hellfire Dragon's sword also said, feeling a familiar aura. It flew out. It circled around to absorb the hellfire. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. He was looking for that iron cudgel. Old son, am here. Suddenly, a loud voice came from the mountains in front of them. Lin Xian's body shook, and he sped up. In the next moment, he descended. There was a steep mountain in front of them. It had an extremely terrifying aura. It seemed to destroy everything here. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air after he saw what was happening. There was actually a person underneath the mountain. The entire mountain was carved with runes, and there were even chains around it. This scene seemed a little familiar. Lin Xian squinted his eyes because the Hellfire Dragon was suppressed just now. Back then, it was a black stone tablet. Now, it was a mountain. Could it be that this person was like the Hellfire Dragon, an extremely terrifying supreme existence? Hell and the others on the side were also creeped out. He said, Lin Woody, I feel that something is wrong. Why don't we go? Chapter 5008. Young man, I'm here. A furry palm waved towards him. Lin Xian was surprised. He looked carefully and realized that the person being suppressed by the mountain was not a human, but a monkey, a demon beast. Lin Xian flew forward. Although the situation seemed strange and dangerous, Lin Xian was confident that he could handle it. Even if he released another Hellfire Dragon, he could still enter the Sword World. He walked over and looked at the suppressed monkey. Who are you? Why are you suppressed here? My name is Sun Qitian. I'm not sure why I'm suppressed, because I've been suppressed here since I was born. If old Sun, knew who dared to suppress me, I would definitely beat him into a bloody mist. I would make him unable to reincarnate. I wonder who suppressed him? Lin Xian was surprised. He did not believe him. After so many years, how could he not know? Humph, young man, old son, am only 2,000 years old. Do you think I'm old? Impossible. Nai Luo and the rest were all stunned. 2,000 years old. His strength was so terrifying, and he was being suppressed. How did he cultivate? Could it be that he was so terrifying from the moment he was born? Lin Xian was also shocked. One must know that the other party could easily kill the bloodbat. This meant that his true strength would be even more powerful. This person was indeed strange. Don't try to lie to me. Tell me the truth. Lin Xian snorted. Sun Qiqian snorted. What, old son, am speaking the truth. Could it be that you were not powerful after you were born? I feel that you did not need to cultivate much to reach this stage. If old son, had been free for the past 2,000 years, I would have pierced through the sky. Lin Xian was even more shocked after hearing this. He suddenly had a thought. One must know that there were such people in the world, such as the Dragon Prince and the Kuan Pengzi. Such people became saints at birth. They did not need to cultivate after awakening their bloodline. Their strength would increase by leaps and bounds. But that was an emperor. Could it be that the monkey in front of him was also an emperor? If that was the case, it would be too unbelievable. No matter if it was the Kuan Pengzi or the Dragon Prince, they were protected by countless people and had a great emperor family behind them. That was an existence that stood at the pinnacle of the world. But now, if this monkey was the emperor's son, that would be way too tragic. He was directly suppressed by someone. Who was it? He dared to make a move against someone from the emperor clan? He didn't know about any of this. But at this moment, Whitey flew out and looked ahead. Her big eyes reddened instantly, and there were even tears falling down. He began to sob. Hey, little monkey, come here. Sun Qiqian was shocked. With a wave of his hand, Little White flew over. Sun Qiqian was extremely envious. You're quite free, little one. Little White jumped on Sun Qiqian's head. Its big eyes red. He seemed to feel pity for Sun Qiqian. Then he flew back and said to Lin Xian, "Save him. He's so pitiful." I could tell that he wasn't a bad person. Lin Xian was shocked. This was the first time Little White was in such a state. He nodded and said, "Don't worry. Since you are all monkeys, I will save him." Really? That's great. Little White smiled happily. Lin Xian walked over and said, "How can I help you? Could it be done just by lifting the mountain? If it was that easy, I would have shattered it long ago." Sun Qiqian sighed. All these years, I only felt the power of reincarnation. It seems that the power of reincarnation is suppressing me. That's why I found you. You have the power of reincarnation. Absorb this power. Leave the rest to me. Okay. Lin Xian nodded. He didn't expect it to be so simple. He was originally hoping to find the power of reincarnation. Now that there was one for free, how could he not want it? Then he sat there cross-legged and began to absorb the power of reincarnation. His heavenly secret divine eyes shone brightly and turned into a reincarnation vortex. The entire reincarnation mountain in front of him kept shaking, and the power of reincarnation quickly swept out. This was a very slow process. During this time, they also came over. Lin Xian said, "I'm sorry, everyone. I can't leave for a while. Why don't you go and carry out your mission first?" "Okay, then we'll go first. If you're in danger, just tell us. We'll come." Nero said a few words and then left. This place became quiet once again. This time, the absorption lasted for 5 years. Lin Xian felt that his eyes had an extremely strange change, especially her right eye. It was even more terrifying and mysterious. It even used runes to form a mountain peak. It was very similar to the mountain peak in front of him. In the end, his right eye seemed to be saturated and couldn't absorb any more. Lin Xian sighed and stood up. With his current strength, this was probably the best he could do. Is it enough? Lin Xian stood up and looked forward. In the past 5 years, Little White had been with Sun Qitian. She even took out spirit fruits from time to time and shared them with Sun Qitian. At this moment, when she saw Lin Xian coming, she jumped happily on Lin Xian's shoulder and asked. Lin Xian was almost done. He looked at Sun Qitian. "What do you think?" Sun Qitian said, "I feel that the power of reincarnation has decreased a lot. I'll give it a try." His body emitted an incomparable light. Then he wanted to stand up. The entire mountain peak kept shaking, and the surrounding chains made a rumbling sound. His body was like a dragon, and he was about to leave. However, at this moment, the power of the mountain peak erupted again and directly pressed him to the ground. Endless pressure spread, and the mountain peak shattered. Sun Qitian let out a crazy roar. Still not enough? Lin Xian furrowed his brows when he saw this scene. It seemed that the power of reincarnation was not only here. The power of the entire mountain peak and the chains was definitely enough to make anyone despair. Only Sun Qitian was miraculous. If it were another great sage, they would have died hundreds of times. Damn it, I'm not satisfied. Sun Qitian roared to the sky. It had been 2,000 years. Since he was born, he had been longing for freedom. However, for the past 2,000 years, he could only be suppressed here. Now that the power of reincarnation had weakened to this extent, he still couldn't leave? Lin Xian walked up and said, "Brother Monkey, it seems that I have to help you again." He took a deep breath and summoned the great dragon sword soul. Then he crazily activated the power of the sword world. Slash. This sword took the fortune of heaven and earth and turned it into the eternity of time. Even Sun Qitian was shocked. He really couldn't imagine that the human in front of him could unleash a sword attack that shocked and terrified him. But soon he smiled. With this sword attack, he definitely had hope of escaping. Lin Xian's sword slashed on the mountain peak. Heaven and earth shook, and the mountain peak collapsed. A large crack was split open. The surrounding chains also shook uneasily, as if they were about to collapse. Sun Qitian roared to the sky, "Brother Lin, stay away. I want to go out." Chapter 5009. Boom, 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 boom. The entire place changed, as if it was the end of the world. Lin Xian quickly retreated with Whitey. He could feel that his body was about to split apart. The power in front was too terrifying. Lin Xian retreated far away. Sun Qitian said, "Not enough. Brother Lin, little brother, retreat further." Lin Xian retreated again. At the same time, she took out some elixirs to recover. This time, it should be enough. Sun Qitian did not say anything. Instead, he roared and thousands of lightning bolts fell from the sky. The sky and earth in front of him shook, and the black mountain once again rose to the north, and the chains around it tightened. Sun Qitian's body shone brightly, as if he was about to walk out of the suppressed mountain. The mountain and the chains formed a terrifying light to block him. However, the mountain had been through 5 years. Lin Xian had absorbed an endless amount of reincarnation energy. In addition, it was split apart by the great dragon sword spirit. It no longer had its previous power. Many of the mysterious runes on it were shattered. Hence, it could no longer be suppressed. Sun Qitian's roar shook the entire second level of hell. Those who were training in the second level all raised their heads and looked into the distance in fear. What was that? Whose roar was that? There were some powerful existences on the second level who had looks of horror on their faces. It can't be, could it be that that guy is coming out? They knew that the second level had suppressed an extremely terrifying being. However, that guy would never be able to come out. Now, something unexpected was happening. Damn, was the seal really going to be broken? The Hellfire Dragon Sword, circled around Lin Xian in shock. He asked, "Kid, do you know what kind of being you have released?" Lin Xian asked, "What do you know? Do you know Sun Qiqian's true identity?" Lin Xian's eyes lit up. "If you know, tell me. I can reduce the years." The Hellfire Dragon Sword's eyes lit up. However, he shook his head. "I really don't know." He only knew that he had been suppressed here for more than 2,000 years. In fact, he had been suppressed even earlier. However, at that time, it was still a stone. It could be said that it was a stone without any signs of life. That was why he had no memories of it. 2,000 years ago, he jumped out of the stone and turned into a monkey. Only then did he have life. Lin Xian was shocked by Sun Qiqian's extraordinary background. He asked, "Are you sure it's a rock and not a divine crystal?" He knew that the Dragon Prince had been sealed by the divine crystal. It was very likely that Sun Qiqian had the same experience. Who was it? He dared to suppress an existence with such a heaven-defying bloodline. Even the Hellfire Dragon didn't know this, because this guy was also suppressed by someone. Boom. The intense rumbling sounds were still ringing out in front of him, and the entire sky was shattered. Sun Qiqian's angry shouts could be heard from time to time. With a loud bang, a golden light tore through the 9 heavens and appeared in the 9 heavens. Sun Qiqian looked up to the sky and laughed. "Ha ha ha, old Sun, am finally out. It's already 2,000 years. Old Sun, will definitely kill my way up to the 9 heavens and tear that mastermind of yours into pieces." As he spoke, he took out a large iron staff and swept it in all directions, blasting the sky full of chains and the black mountain peak into flat ground. "Kill, kill, kill." Sun Qiqian roared, his killing intent shocking. The living beings in the 2nd level were so scared that they prostrated themselves on the ground. This aura was too terrifying. Even Lin Xian felt a shocking power that seemed to be suppressing him. This scene shocked Lin Xian because at this moment he felt like he was facing the Dragon Prince and Kun Pengzi. Lin Xian felt that it was very likely that the other party was also an emperor's son. Of course, this was just his guess. He had to ask Sun Qiqian for the specifics. Suddenly, a vortex appeared in the sky, followed by a huge hand that covered the sky. Descending from the sky, there was a mysterious rune on the palm, and from afar, it looked like a black lotus. "Suppress!" A loud voice rang out, like the roar of a god. As soon as this huge palm appeared, the entire 18 levels of hell shook violently, so much so that those in the underworld were alarmed. What's going on? Is someone attacking the 18 levels of hell by force? This power seemed to have surpassed everything. Countless people were shocked, and those ancient beings all flew to the 9 heavens to take a look. It's not targeting us, but the 18 levels of hell. What's inside? Could it be that something happened to those who were sealed and suppressed? The 18 levels of hell were very mysterious and ancient. Many great emperors had appeared here before and set up some traps. There were some existences suppressed on each level of the 18 levels of hell. These people either had shocking origins or were extremely powerful, but they were all suppressed here by a great power. Some had been suppressed to death, while some were still alive and in a deep sleep. At this moment, a huge hand that covered the sky appeared in the 18 levels of hell. It was hard to imagine. Who was it targeting? Sun Qiqian roared angrily. He roared at the sky, and the huge iron staff directly attacked the 9 heavens. It collided with the huge hand. With a loud bang, the sky fell and the earth cracked. He vomited blood and flew back. His body was shattered. He had no choice. Although he was powerful, the huge hand that covered the sky was too terrifying. It seemed to have surpassed everything, just like the palm of a great emperor. Not good, a supreme power. The Hellfire Dragon Sword was so scared that its scalp went numb. Kid, you're looking for trouble. The monkey that you released probably has a strong background and is being targeted. Hurry up and run. Little White was also very nervous. He was also a monkey, and so was Sun Qiqian. He naturally hoped that Sun Qiqian could be free. Lin Xian's eyes instantly turned red. He did not recognize the huge hand. But how could he not recognize the black lotus in the palm? That was the red spider lily. It was the existence that sealed him. Damn it. This palm had the red spider lily. Who was it? Was it someone from the Purple Mansion? Someone from the Purple Mansion sealed Sun Qiqian? Lin Xian was not sure, because he felt that the Purple Mansion did not have such a terrifying existence. Otherwise, when he and Heishan attacked the Purple Mansion, they would have been killed by such a huge tree. Damn it, he was not sure now, but it must be related to the red spider lily. Maybe the one who suppressed Sun Qiqian and sealed him was the same person. Brother Monkey, retreat quickly. Lin Xian roared. Sun Qiqian roared. His eyes were red. Damn it, old son, am already out. I won't be suppressed anymore. He swung his iron staff again and attacked, but he was quickly pushed back again. Lin Xian took a deep breath and used Shadowless Heaven's net to rush forward. Kid, are you crazy? The Hellfire Dragon Sword scalp went numb. Little White also cried out anxiously. At the same time, he was also worried about Lin Xian's safety. Lin Xian kept the two of them. His eyes were red, and he instantly came to Sun Qiqian's side. He grabbed his shoulder. Brother Monkey, where there's life, there's hope. This palm is too scary. We can't fight against it now. Let's go. Run. He brought Sun Qiqian and flew far away. Sun Qiqian gritted his teeth. One day, I will kill my way to the 9 heavens and tear all of you into pieces. As he spoke, he turned and left. How could the huge hand let the two of them leave? It quickly chased after them. Chapter 50:10. After one strike, Sun Qiqian's body split open again, and Lin Xian's body also cracked. Golden Saint Blood dyed the 9 heavens red. Follow me. He directly opened the sword world. He brought Sun Qiqian in. At the same time, he used the heaven-swallowing jar to devour everything. The huge hand that covered the sky descended and slapped the heaven-swallowing jar, sending it flying. The entire second level of hell was torn apart, and endless cracks appeared. The people on the second level quickly fled, and some of them were directly smashed into a bloody mist. The palm did not disappear. It was raised again, as if it was unwilling to give up and was still searching. At this time, crazy roars came from the lower levels of the 18th level of hell. There was even a sigh of an old man. If I don't enter hell, who will? A ray of golden light flew out and turned into a golden lotus, clashing with the black lotus. It seemed to be able to purify everything. The huge hand that covered the sky slowly disappeared and disappeared. The entire second level of hell finally quieted down. The creatures on the second level of hell were also terrified, like Nero and the others. Their bodies were trembling. What happened? Was it related to Lin Xian saving that monkey? They didn't know. It was safe. Inside the sword world. Lin Xian sensed the situation outside, and after realizing that the huge hand that covered the sky had left, he heaved a sigh of relief. The monkey also gritted his teeth. Damn it, he was almost suppressed again. He looked at Lin Xian and said, Brother Lin, if not for you, I would be in danger this time. I am willing to become sworn brothers with you. Are you willing? Of course I am. Lin Xian nodded. Good. Sun Qiqian also laughed. Lin Xian was very much to his liking, and he had even saved him before, so he naturally hoped to have such a brother. Next, the two of them became sworn brothers. Sun Qiqian was older, so Lin Xian called him Brother Monkey. Brother Monkey, where did you come from? Don't you have any memories at all? And what kind of person is your father? What is your own bloodline like? Lin Xian asked a series of questions. He was very curious about them. Sun Qiqian shook his head. I don't remember because I have been sealed for too long. My soul is a little damaged. That's why I can't remember a lot of things. I only know that I have to take revenge. Lin Xian said, I also know a bit about your enemy. There was a black lotus flower on the huge hand that hit you just now. He had once sealed me as well. Later on, he learned that it was called the red spider lily. It was an extremely terrifying existence. The only sect that used the red spider lily as a totem was the Purple Mansion sect. As for whether there were other sects, it was unknown for the time being. But now that he thought about it, it definitely had something to do with the Purple Mansion. Red spider lily, Purple Palace. Sun Qiqian's eyes flickered. I know. After I leave hell, I won't let these people go. Brother Monkey, I know that you are eager to take revenge, but the Zifu realm is also a supreme existence. They are very mysterious. If you want to take revenge, you can't act rashly. It's best to increase your strength first. Haha, Brother Lin, don't worry. Now that I'm free, I won't be added to them again. By the way, where do you plan to go next? Was he going to leave hell directly? Lin Xian asked. Sun Qiqian replied, No, I'm going to the 3rd level of the underworld. You want to go to the 3rd level? Lin Xian was stunned. If the 2nd level was already so dangerous, the 3rd level should be even more terrifying. Sun Qiqian said, Brother Lin, you have a lot of trump cards. You can even dodge the huge hand that covers the sky. Although the 3rd level is a bit dangerous for you, it definitely won't take your life. Who knows, it might be able to increase your strength again. All right, Lin Xian was also a bold person, so after thinking for a moment, he immediately agreed. The two of them walked out of the sword world. Lin Xian kept the heaven-swallowing jar and prepared to leave. At this time, someone flew over from afar. Lin Wuti, it's really you. You didn't die, that's great. Lin Xian turned his head and saw that it was Nai Luo and the others. Are you guys injured? Lin Xian asked. Nai Luo said, The hand that covered the sky was very far away from us. We only received a little impact and were not injured. Right? What was that big hand about? Also, did you save the person you wanted to save? You're talking about me, right? Sun Qiqian walked out. Nai Luo and the others immediately held their breaths. They felt a huge pressure. It was as if the person standing in front of them was an extremely terrifying ancient demon god. You really managed to save it. They were too shocked. One had to know that when Sun Qiqian was suppressed, a single iron rod was enough to sweep across all directions. Now that he was rescued, how terrifying was his strength? Also, why did that huge hand suddenly appear? One had to know that although the infernal realm was terrifying, such a thing had never happened before. Could it be that it had something to do with the monkey in front of them? All of this was a mystery to them. Lin Xian laughed. You don't have to worry. Brother Monkey is my brother. He won't hurt you guys. Brother? Nai Luo and the others were surprised. Didn't they not know each other before? How did they become good brothers in just a few years? Of course, Lin Xian did not explain. Instead, he said, Brother Monkey and I are going to the 3rd level of hell. Do you guys want to go with us? With Brother He here, it shouldn't be a problem. The 3rd level. Nai Luo and the others were shocked. Then they sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Wuti, do you know that the 2nd level is already very dangerous? The 3rd level is probably even scarier. An early-stage great sage is in danger of dying there. Even a mid-stage great sage can't sweep through everything. You have to be on guard there. Lin Xian nodded. He said, I know, but the 2nd level has been destroyed by that huge hand. It can't be recovered in a short time, and we can't find anything good here. So, I'm going to the 3rd level to take a look. Second brother, a bunch of cowards. What are you talking to them about? Sun Qiqian frowned and said, Nai Luo was angry. He snorted, "Who are you calling cowards? Although we're not as strong as you, it doesn't mean that we're cowards." The other members of the illusionary flower, Water Moon, discussed, and then decided to go to the third level of hell. They had wanted to go for a long time, but they were not strong enough, so they hesitated. Now that they had Lin Xian and such a scary monkey to lead them, they decided to go for it. "Good. Your courage is not bad." Sun Qiqian laughed, then waved his hand. "Follow me." The group walked towards the passageway to the third level. There were even fewer people here. There were even fewer people in the third level than the second level, but every one of them was a top expert. Moreover, the third level was an extremely special place. There were many tombs in it. There were even some ancient and primordial experts buried here. Therefore, in theory, there were endless treasures which attracted a group of adventurers. Lin Xian and the others were going to such a place this time. Chapter 5011. The group passed through the passage and entered the third level of hell. It was even colder here. After arriving, Nero and the rest kept shivering. Even Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. He felt as if his body was about to freeze. No wonder Nero and the rest didn't dare to come. Even a great sage intermediate could only survive here. It was difficult to dominate here. One would need more power. The only one who wasn't affected was Sun Qiqian. His body shone brightly, and the cold aura couldn't get close to him. This place was extremely unusual. There were some ancient tombs that shouldn't be approached easily. Perhaps they would be killed by the array formation or the mysterious existence inside. Lin Xian and the others were shocked when they heard this. Nero was puzzled. "Weren't you suppressed before? How did you know about the third level?" Even Lin Xian was surprised. Sun Qiqian said, "I have the martial Dao heavenly eye. Although I'm suppressed, I can still see through everything. When I'm free, I'll use the martial Dao heavenly eye to see the third level. Can I?" Lin Xian was even more shocked. Sun Qiqian's bloodline was too strong. The martial Dao heavenly eye didn't sound weaker than the Tianji divine eye. It was even stronger. It could see through a level of hell. Sun Qiqian seemed to have guessed what Lin Xian was thinking. He smiled and said, "Second brother, don't be envious. If you can really cultivate the Rinnegan, you can take the entire 18 levels of hell." Rinnegan, Nero, and the rest were shocked. That was the legendary Supreme Eye. At a glance, could anyone really cultivate the Rinnegan in the 6 paths of reincarnation? Lin Xian also took a deep breath. He was also looking forward to it. Moreover, his right eye had also changed. The eye condensed the power of reincarnation and could form a reincarnation mountain. He wondered what kind of power it would have. The group set off. They didn't dare to seize some of the terrifying tombs. However, they wouldn't miss the ordinary tombs because these places were the source of treasures. After walking for about half a day, they found another group in front of them. There were about 10 people. His aura was incomparably powerful, much more powerful than the entire group. The team naturally saw Lin Xian as well, and they immediately stopped. The illusionary flower, reflected moon. "Nero, you actually came as well." A surprised voice was heard. Nero turned around and said, "So it's you?" The man who stole was called Meng Yi. They belonged to Meng Pu. Meng Yi said, "Nai Luo, with your strength, you don't have the qualifications to come here." Nero rolled her eyes at him. "It's none of your business. Can I come with an expert?" "Expert?" Meng Yi was taken aback. Then he looked at the people beside Nero. When he saw Sun Qiqian, his pupils shrank. He felt a huge pressure from this person. This should be the expert that Meng Luo had mentioned. As for Lin Xian, he ignored him because Lin Xian's cultivation was the weakest among these people. He was not even a great sage. How could such a person dare to come here? Although you have experts It's still too dangerous. Why don't you let them follow us? Meng Ye suggested. What do you think? Nero looked at Sun Qiqian and Lin Xian and asked for their opinions. Lin Xian said, all right, they had just arrived here and were not too sure. It was naturally better to have someone to lead the way. Sun Qiqian said, I don't have any opinions about joining forces. But when it comes to seizing treasures, it's up to each of us. Don't expect me to give in to you. His words were cold. This made Meng Po's people frown slightly. Meng Yi said, oh, is that so? Then this condition couldn't be better. Although Sun Qiqian was an expert, Meng Yi and the others were still not afraid of him. Even if there were treasures, they would probably have more to gain. Next, the two sides joined forces. This time, there were more than 20 people. In this place, they could be considered to be quite a big team. As they continued to walk into the third level, they saw many people one after another. Some people retreated when they saw more than 20 people together, fearing that they would be besieged. After all, not only were there treasure hunters here, but there were also people who killed and robbed. It seemed to be more convenient. After walking for half a day, a mountain peak appeared in front of them. The mountain peak was an independent existence surrounded by plains. It was very strange that it stood there like this. However, Sun Qiqian's eyes lit up. This place was not ordinary. There might be a mausoleum here. Meng Yi and the others also narrowed their eyes. That was indeed the case. Generally, what was buried here was the terrain. It was very strange. Only experts could see through the mystery inside. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and looked forward. Although there was only one mountain peak, its aura was incomparably majestic, as if it was going to tear the world apart. Let's go and take a look. The group walked forward. When they got closer, they found that there was already a battle around the mountain peak. Two groups of people were fighting. It turned out that under the mountain peak there was a cave residence. There were rays of light flashing inside. Seeing this scene, Sun Qiqian laughed loudly. Second brother, let's go. As he said that, he rushed forward. Lin Xian smiled bitterly. However, he could imagine that after being suppressed for 2,000 years since birth, he was now free. Seeing these battles, he was naturally happy. Meng Yi and the others were shocked. Was this monkey really so powerful? They did not think so, because the battle in front was very terrifying. When the people in front felt that there was a third party coming, they also frowned. Suddenly, they were shocked to see a lightning-like figure rushing over and directly killing his way into the cave residence. Then he stretched out a monkey's paw and directly grabbed one of the treasure boxes. Not only that, the monkey was unwilling to give up and grabbed another 2 treasure boxes. This made the eyes of both sides turn red. They fought desperately but did not succeed. Now, someone came to take the fruits of their victory? Go to hell. Both sides stopped fighting and attacked Sun Qiqian at the same time. Sigh. This guy is too reckless. Meng Po's people sighed. Even an expert could not be so arrogant. Which one of them who could come to the 3rd level was weak? Let's see if you have the capital to be arrogant. Meng Yi also narrowed his eyes. Lin Xian was not worried at all. He was very clear about Sun Qiqian's strength. He was an existence that dared to fight with the heavens. Narrow, and the others also had strange expressions. Sun Qiqian could kill 2 blood-red bats with a single iron rod. Now that he was completely free, how terrifying was he? To be honest, they were very curious. At the same time, they were also worried for the people in front. They were afraid that those people in front were unlucky. Chapter 50:12. Go to hell. Someone slapped out a blood-red seal that could shake heaven and earth. The people on the other side transformed into terrifying phantoms of demon gods, looking down at the sky. The terrifying aura seemed to be about to destroy the world as they charged toward Sun Qitian. Sun Qitian shouted angrily, "You want to fight against me? Go to hell!" With a wave of his hand, an iron staff shone brightly and swept forward. It carried an eternal light. Boom! As the iron staff fell, the sky shattered, and the blood sea surged. The phantoms of the demon gods and the blood god seal were shattered. The people on both sides also vomited blood and were sent flying backward. The 5 people at the front directly split open and turned into blood mist. So powerful! Meng Yi and Meng Po's people behind were all stunned. This attack was so powerful. This monkey is a bit too powerful. The pupils of Nero and the others shrank. It was indeed more powerful than they had imagined. The people on both sides were angry. Kill! They rushed over again, wanting to take revenge. Sun Qitian shouted coldly, "Are you still courting death? I'll fulfill your wishes." An even more terrifying light burst out from his body. He held the iron staff with both hands and swept everything. The whole sky was split open, the earth was shattered, and everything in the world turned into chaos. All the people who attacked him were all smashed into blood mist. With a sweep of the iron staff, he was invincible in the world. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 great saints had fallen. The rest of the people became extremely terrified. He's too powerful, and it's difficult to fight against him. What kind of existence is he? Run, run, run. The remaining people all ran away. In the process, Sun Qitian killed another 3 masters. The rest of the people fled with serious injuries and no longer dared to fight. For a moment, only Sun Qitian was left in the cave residence. Sun Qitian shouted coldly, and a large crack appeared in the iron staff formation. "A group of ants dare to fight with me. It's too terrifying." Meng Yi and the other scalps went numb, and Nero and the others also turned pale. Lin Xian flew over and said, "Brother Monkey, well done." Whitey also applauded. "Yeah, you're so powerful. You're worthy of being a member of our monkey clan. Little one, do you want to learn a peerless supernatural power? I'll teach you." Sun Qitian looked at Whitey and laughed. When the others heard this, they were extremely envious. However, Little White thought about it seriously and said, "No, fighting and killing is too boring. You little brat with your bloodline. Even if you don't learn these divine abilities, no one can threaten you." Sun Qitian smiled. Then he looked at Lin Xian and said, "Let's go in and take a look." Lin Xian nodded, and the 2 of them entered the cave. There was a profound coffin inside. Other than that, there were also some weapons, pills, and scrolls placed around the room. As for the weapons and scrolls, Sun Qitian directly ignored them. He didn't need them. His iron cudgel could sweep through everything, and peerless cultivation techniques were within his bloodline inheritance. Therefore, he was only interested in medicinal pills and natural treasures. Then he put away all the pills. He stared at the blood coffin. "Second brother, quickly put away the other things. I want to open the coffin." Upon hearing this, Lin Xian was also taken aback. With a wave of his hand, he kept everything else. His heavenly secret divine eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. He frowned. "Brother Monkey, be careful. I feel that the person inside is still breathing." "Don't worry." Sun Qitian waved his iron cudgel and opened the blood coffin. Outside, Meng Yi, Nai Luo, and the others were shocked. They had just arrived, and before they could say anything, they saw the coffin open. An extremely terrifying, murderous aura flew out from the coffin. Meng Yi exclaimed, "Oh no, he's still alive. Impossible. It's been a coffin for so many years. He should have turned into a zombie." In short, the other party was a great threat to them. A figure jumped out from inside. His body was rotten, and he looked very ferocious. "How dare you disturb my cultivation? Go to hell." A pair of big hands grabbed at Lin Xian and Sun Qiqian because they were the closest. Second brother, be careful. Sun Qiqian roared and smashed his iron cudgel over. When it collided with the other party's claws, an earth-shattering sound was heard. Endless flames pierced through the 9 heavens. The pair of claws that were comparable to divine iron were broken in an instant. The bloody figure let out a painful roar and stared at Sun Qiqian. He didn't expect the other party to be so powerful. That iron cudgel is a divine weapon. He's mine. A shocking light burst out from his eyes. Sun Qiqian snorted coldly. How dare you covet my weapon? You're courting death. He attacked again, waving his iron cudgel, shattering the sky. The bloody zombie roared crazily and fought with him. At the same time, the other hand, which was like divine metal, grabbed at Lin Xian. Lin Xian retreated and formed a seal with his palms. The lion seal. With a strike, the golden lion seal blocked the other party's palm. He retreated and crushed the ground. How terrifying! Lin Xian was surprised, as expected of the 3rd level. The people here are really terrifying. They're even more terrifying than the average Great Sage Intermediate. He was shocked, but the bloody zombie was even more shocked. It was understandable that Sun Qiqian was powerful. After all, he had a divine weapon in his hand, and his bloodline was extraordinary. He could feel a terrifying power. However, how could the kid in front of him compete with him? Although he was pushed back, the other party was not injured. This kid seems to be just a Saint King. He's not even a great sage. His physique is already so strong. What kind of monster is he? What kind of changes have happened outside during the years that I've been cultivating and sleeping? It was hard for him to imagine that a Saint King was so terrifying. Boom. His arm attacked again. Lin Xian used the lion seal and shadowless heavens net to fight against it. Although he was suppressed and at a disadvantage, it was shocking enough. Oh no! Nero, who was outside, was stunned. Meng Yi and the others were even more shocked. To be honest, among these people, they ignored Lin Xian the most. In their opinion, Lin Xian should only be following the monkey. His strength was not worth mentioning at all. But now they realized that they were wrong, very wrong. This kid was a top genius. Lin Xian was the best explanation of what it meant to be a genius. He had the weakest cultivation, but he could exert the strongest power. This guy was comparable to a young great emperor. Countless people were shocked. The bloody zombie was even more furious. It was fine if it could not take down a monkey, but it could not even take down a human ant. Damn it! An endless bloody vortex suddenly appeared on its bloody palm. It turned into a bloody dragon, roaring ferociously and charging over. Oh no, it's a fatal blow. Nero, Meng Yi, and the others were terrified. They were worried about Lin Xian again. Lin Xian was already very strong to be able to survive until now. However, if he did not have any other trump cards, it would be difficult to resist this move. Sun Qiqian also shouted angrily, "How dare you hurt my second brother? I'll destroy your soul." Chapter 50:13. In the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian was still not afraid. An extremely terrifying light burst out from his eyes, especially his right eye, which condensed into a mountain peak. Reincarnation Mountain. A mountain peak pressed down on the left front, instantly enveloping the opponent's palm. Boom, boom. An earth-shattering sound was heard, and the sky fell, and the earth cracked. The iron-blooded palm was directly suppressed. The blood-colored zombie also fell to the ground, roaring crazily. There was a trace of horror in his eyes. What was going on? This Saint King level ant actually knew such a thing. He felt that half of his body was suppressed, and he could not exert any strength at all. The others were even more frightened. What a terrifying reincarnation aura. Narrow. And the others were even more surprised. Was this the result of Lin Xian's 5 years of cultivation? It was unbelievable. Sun Qiqian also narrowed his eyes. He could see that this mountain peak was very similar to the one that suppressed him. Obviously, the mountain peak that suppressed him had become Lin Xian's ultimate technique. He smiled. His second brother was extremely talented and powerful, so he did not have to worry at all. Thinking of this, he waved his iron staff again and attacked. Under the joint efforts of him and Lin Xian, the blood-colored zombie was directly beaten into a bloody mist. There were still some treasures in the blood-colored coffin, which were also divided between him and Lin Xian. The surrounding people were incomparably shocked. Even such a powerful existence had been destroyed. It was too terrifying. However, people like Nero and the others were excited. With such a powerhouse taking the lead, they would definitely be able to find the treasures. Next, they would definitely be able to find treasures. Next, they attacked again. This time, it was not only Lin Xian and Sun Qiqian. Nero and the others also obtained some treasures. 10 days later, they came to a canyon where there was also a cave residence. Obviously, countless treasures were buried here. In addition to Lin Xian and the others, a group of people came from the opposite side of the canyon. There were about 40 people in this group, twice as many as Lin Xian's group. The aura on their bodies was extremely terrifying. These people were riding on a chariot. There was a blood-colored flag on the chariot. Was it the Blood God Alliance? Meng Yi and the others frowned. This was also an organization in hell, and it was stronger than catoptric deflection. Even if Meng Yi and the others saw them before, they would have to take a detour. He didn't expect to meet them here. The members of the Blood God Alliance also looked over. Were there only 20 people? You're no match for us. If you scram now, we'll spare your lives. Otherwise, all of you will die without a burial place. The other party's cold voice rang out, causing Nero and the others to furrow their brows. Sun Qiqian sneered. Threatening old Sun? Humph. I think you guys are the ones who don't know what's good for you. I'm not leaving today. I want to see what you can do to me. Old Sun. Sun Qiqian snorted coldly and waved his iron staff, tearing the world apart. The faces of the Blood God Alliance's members sank. Did they not know what death was? The man in the lead waved his hand and said in a deep voice, "Let's go to the cave abode below to retrieve the treasure." Soon, 3 figures descended from the sky and went to the canyon. They worked together to bring a treasure box. However, halfway there, the treasure box disappeared into thin air. Damn it, what's going on? They were shocked. At the next moment, they saw a little monkey with a bowl on its head. Their treasure box was in the bowl. Damn monkey! How dare you? One of them slashed out a blood-red sword chi, while the other 2 reached out their palms to grab Little White. You're courting death. Sun Qiqian shouted angrily when he saw that. He waved his iron staff and cut the world apart, turning the palms of the 2 people into blood mist. The 2 of them screamed and retreated. As for the third person, Little White turned around and said, while holding the purple gourd, "Gourd, please turn around." The gourd cracked open and flew out. A sword light directly split the head of the person. Little White flew back and opened the treasure box. There was a piece of jade inside. It was pure white and shone brightly. Little White took a bite, and its big eyes narrowed into the shape of a crescent moon. A 50,000-year-old jade was definitely a top-notch treasure. Seeing that, the members of the Blood God Alliance on the other side had extremely ugly expressions. That was an extremely important thing to them. But now, it was snatched away halfway. He even started eating right in front of them. Was he challenging them? Kill them. The leader waved his hand, and 10 people went down to the cave abode to continue snatching treasures. The other 30 people charged toward Lin Xian and the others. It seemed that they did not intend to let Lin Xian and the others survive. Sun Qitian shouted coldly and jumped into the canyon as well. Get lost! The iron staff directly shattered the mountain gate of the cave abode. Then he charged in. A great battle broke out below. Lin Xian was also facing a crisis. Everyone, fight with all your strength. Meng Yi took a deep breath. Nero and the others were also facing a great enemy. They had no choice. The other party had more people than them. Now that Sun Qitian had gone to the cave abode to snatch treasures, they could only rely on themselves. Fortunately, Lin Xian was still here. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm and cast a lion that swept across heaven and earth. The two people who flew over were immediately sent flying. At the same time, Nero cast the bridge of helplessness to affect their souls. Meng Yi picked up a bowl of soup and poured it into the world. Granny Meng's soup was said to be a mysterious existence that could forget everything. It was very strange. At this moment, the people of the Blood God Alliance were also constantly retreating. However, these people were not weak either. Someone cast out a terrifying blood-colored flood dragon that covered the sky and earth, sweeping across tens of thousands of miles. They charged forward. Someone formed 81 snow mountains and pressed down from the sky. Some people even activated the war chariot law, and various attacks came at them. A great battle broke out. Nero and the others were pale and kept retreating. The other party had too many people. However, at this time, Lin Xian made his move. Lin Xian used the Hellfire Dragon Sword, Azura sword art. With a slash of the sword, 3 heads flew. At the same time, the seal of the Fearless Lion was opened and closed. With every strike, a terrifying golden lion appeared and suppressed all directions. At the same time, he activated the heavenly secret divine eyes, and a reincarnation mountain pressed down. In the blink of an eye, 3 people were killed, and the other 7 were injured and retreated. In an instant, the pressure on Nero, Meng Yi, and the others was reduced by a lot. Damn it, they had an expert on their side. The people of the Blood God Alliance stared at Lin Xian in an instant, feeling incredulous. They had been staring at Nero and Meng Yi. They could see that these 2 people were very powerful, and their divine abilities were also very terrifying. But who would have thought that the strongest one was a sage king? If they did not experience it personally, they would not believe it even if they were beaten to death. After killing this kid, the others were nothing to be afraid of. In an instant, these people all charged at Lin Xian. In the sky, 81 blood-colored mountains swept across heaven and earth, completely enveloping Lin Xian. The mountains around Lin Xian were constantly shattered. Chapter 50:14. Lin Xian also felt a huge pressure. He pushed his body to the limit. He punched in all directions, making earth-shattering sounds, but he was still forced back. He had no choice. The power represented by the 81 mountains was too powerful. The person who attacked was very terrifying, but it was impossible for him to kill Lin Xian. At the critical moment, Lin Xian used Shadowless Heaven's net. His body disappeared and appeared on the other side. Kid, your movement technique is not bad, but can you escape? The 4 people charged over. The auras of these 4 people were equally terrifying. One of them actually knew Shadowless Heaven's net. Lin Xian was really stunned. It seemed that this person was a top-notch assassin. That person had a killing sword in his hand. There was blood dripping from it. The surrounding mountains of corpses and seas of blood were extremely terrifying. Go to hell. He did not release any aura before, but at this moment, his killing intent was shocking. Azura sword skill. When the sword slashed out, Lin Xian's glabella split open. He felt his hair stand on end. So terrifying. It seems that there are still experts in hell. He struck out with the lion imprint to defend himself. The golden lion imprint blotted out the sky and covered the earth as it rushed over. It collided with the sword. The golden lion was torn apart and Lin Xian's palm was pierced. However, his physique was extremely strong. In an instant, he caught the sword. "Damn it!" that person shouted angrily. Even a mid-stage supreme sage would be split open by this sword. However, the other party's physique was only injured. It was not split open. He wanted to retract his sword and attack again. However, at that moment, Lin Xian made his move. Azura's sword skill, the first sword. He also unleashed a sure-kill move. Buzz. Oh no, that person quickly dodged. However, its body was cleaved into two halves by the sword. Ah, he screamed in horror and wanted to retreat. Lin Xian charged over with his sword. The hellfire on it burned fiercely. "Save me!" At that moment, he shouted angrily. Someone came over from afar. He was riding a chariot. He charged forward and blocked the hellfire that filled the sky. The chariot was an extremely powerful saint weapon. It had saved the saint of slaughter. Then, a terrifying light shot out from the chariot. 4 blood-colored demonic beasts covered the sky and covered the earth. Lin Xian snorted and waved his hellfire dragon sword again. A long sword swept out in all directions. A dragon's roar rang out between heaven and earth, turning into a dragon's shadow that cut through the 9 heavens. The bodies of the 4 demonic beasts were being torn apart. Lin Xian let out a loud roar and punched out in all directions, directly tearing the entire world into 2 halves. The golden chariot was sent flying. Damn it! How could he be so powerful? The expert in the war chariot was injured, his expression ugly. "Use the corpse poison we got," he roared madly. Someone took out a red gourd. After opening it, a terrifying red mist filled the air. This was an extremely potent poison that they had obtained from a cave abode. It was the poison of the corpse of a great sage. Lin Xian felt that his 9-yang divine body was about to rot. He was terrified and quickly retreated. A huge dragon sword, Aura, appeared on his body and slashed in all directions. At the same time, the sky-devouring jar was thrown out, turning into countless vortexes. It swallowed all the poison. How was that possible? The people of the Blood God Alliance were stunned. The other party definitely couldn't resist this poison. They would wait until these people were seriously injured. At that time, they would be able to get rid of these enemies effortlessly. But now, their poison had disappeared before it could even take effect. Damn it, it's this kid again. They stared at Lin Xian and gritted their teeth. The other party had too many trump cards. They were endless. At this moment, a miserable cry came from the canyon. Then someone escaped with injuries all over his body. The people of the Blood God Alliance were shocked. What was going on? Was there a problem with their treasure hunt too? They had sent out 4 people, but the other party only sent out 1 person. How could they not win? Lin Xian and the others heaved a sigh of relief. The corners of their mouths curled up. Great. It seemed that Sun Qiqian's side was going smoothly. However, not long after, Sun Qiqian flew out. His body was shrouded in a terrifying light, forming auspicious clouds that rose into the sky. "Let's go. It seems that something incredible has appeared," Sun Qiqian said, as he fled into the distance. Lin Xian and the others were also stunned. Sun Qiqian was so terrifying. What kind of existence was it that even he was afraid of? Lin Xian and the others didn't know, but they still quickly retreated. Even Nai Luo, Meng Yi, and the others retreated into the distance. The people of the Blood God Alliance didn't retreat. They were preparing to counterattack. However, at this moment, a coffin flew out from the bottom of the canyon. After it opened, a figure walked out. This figure was covered in a shroud. Only a pair of cold eyes appeared. Damn it, what is this thing? The people of the Blood God Alliance haven't left yet. The powerhouse driving the chariot shouted angrily and rushed over. The top assassin from before used the Shura sword again and attacked from behind, one from the front and one from the back. This was a fatal blow. However, the shroud enlarged and covered the two of them. In the next moment, the two of them screamed miserably as their bodies turned into blood mist and dripped from the sky. A strange laughter was heard, making people's scalps tingle. In a hurry, they saw that it was a woman's face. Half of it was rotten. It was extremely shocking. What is this thing? The people of the Blood God Alliance went crazy and wanted to escape. However, wherever the shroud passed, no one could escape. At the back, Nai Luo and the others saw this scene, and their scalps tingled. It was too terrifying. Fortunately, Sun Qiqian reminded them. Otherwise, they would be in danger. They could see that the dozens of people of the Blood God Alliance were finished. None of them could survive. Sun Qiqian led them and retreated quickly. They asked what is going on. Sun Qiqian said, I didn't know that there would be a coffin after I opened it. After I opened it, I found this thing. That tattered cloth was too scary. It made my hair stand on end, so I turned around and ran away. Everyone was shocked when they heard that. Sun Qiqian's decisiveness really surprised them. Lin Xian said, I know what that is. That's a shroud. It's something that covers the corpse of a great emperor. What? It covers the corpse of a great emperor? Nai Luo and the others felt their scalps tingle. Anything related to a great emperor was definitely terrifying, not to mention the shroud that only belonged to a great emperor. It was even more terrifying. Sun Qiqian was also terrified. No wonder. I was wondering why I felt my hair stand on end. Although he was strong, he couldn't compete with a great emperor. Only a great emperor's item could compete with the shroud of a great emperor. For example, only a few extreme weapons or the great dragon sword soul could do it. The others couldn't withstand it at all. Therefore, Lin Xian knew that the people of the Blood God Alliance were doomed. However, what surprised him was that the shroud was in Luosha's hands. The rotten person from before should be Luosha. She actually ran to the third level and ran into the coffin. It was really strange. Who was this woman? Chapter 50:15. As for the identity of the shroud and the Rakshasa, everything was a mystery. Lin Xian did not think about it. They left the area completely. Then they walked in another direction. After walking for about 5 days, they stopped. There seemed to be a broken ruin in front of them. There was no sound around. Sun Qiqian said, Let's go and take a look. Maybe there are some treasures. However, Meng Yi shook his head. No, we can't go there. We can't go there. He seemed to be very frightened. Lin Xian asked, What's going on? Sun Qiqian said, When did you become so timid? I'm here to protect you. Meng Yi shook his head. No, it has nothing to do with being timid. Nera was also puzzled. What do you know? She knew that Meng Yi and the others came to the third level a long time ago. So they knew a lot about the situation of the third level. Meng Yi said, The ruin in front is very strange. It's very famous in the third level. I've only heard about it, but I don't dare to go near it. This is the closest I've come. What's so magical about this place? Lin Xian was also surprised. Meng Yi said, This place is very strange. No one who has gone in can come out. Many people from Meng Po's lineage have gone in. The oldest one was a person from 5,000 years ago. He didn't come out after 5,000 years. We once suspected that he had died, but later we found that his soul jade tablet was still there. You have to know that if this thing is there, it means that the person is not dead, but he never appeared. Sometimes when you stand in the distance, you can see some figures floating back and forth in the ruins in front of you at night, but they can't get out of this ancient ruin. So, over time, everyone knew that this ruin was very strange. There's a mysterious power. Those who go and will get lost and can't come out again. There's such a thing. Lin Xian was also surprised. Those who could enter the third level of the underworld were definitely not weak, but no one could come out successfully. It was needless to say how dangerous it was. Sun Qiqian frowned. Is it so powerful? I don't believe it. I have to experience it for myself. He carried the iron rod and strode inside. Meng Yi sighed. I've said my piece. We won't be going there again. Goodbye. After he finished speaking, he led Meng Po's group away. What do you plan to do? Lin Xian looked at Nero and the others. Nero said, we will not go in either. Since it was so dangerous, they would definitely not walk right into the trap. Lin Xian said, all right, then we'll split up for now. You guys have to be careful. You can join forces with Meng Yi and the others. If you really can't do it, you can return to the second level. Nero was shocked. Could it be that you want to go in as well? Lin Xian nodded. I also want to see how magical it is. After saying that, he waved his hand and followed Sun Qiqian inside. Good brother. You won't be in any danger if you follow me, Sun Qiqian laughed. Lin Xian nodded, and the two of them entered the ancient ruins together. When they stepped onto the stone platform of the ancient ruins, a ball of energy enveloped them. In the next moment, Lin Xian realized that Sun Qiqian's figure had disappeared. Sun Qiqian naturally noticed this too. He shouted angrily, Brother Lin, where are you? There was a bright light in his eyes. His martial Tao heavenly, I wanted to see through everything. However, he realized that Lin Xian was nowhere to be seen. What was going on? He used his iron rod to bombard the void, creating countless cracks, but there was still no sign of him. Lin Xian also realized that he could not see Sun Qiqian with his heavenly secret divine eyes. It was indeed strange. Lin Xian was surprised. No wonder Meng Yi and the others did not dare to come in at all. He entered with Sun Qiqian, but he could not find any trace of him. Forget it, he was not too worried. After all, Sun Qiqian's bloodline and trump card were too powerful. There was no need to be too worried. Let's see how magical this place is first. Lin Xian walked carefully. Suddenly, he realized that the scenery around him seemed to have changed. A new world appeared in front of him, and there were many figures. These figures all had powerful auras and terrifying figures. What was this? Lin Xian was on guard. He wanted to hide, but he realized that those people did not seem to see him at all. He even tried to attack them, but he realized that he could not attack them. Were they illusions? Lin Xian was really surprised. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. It's useless. You can't attack them. Because this was something that happened 100,000 years ago. Who was it? Lin Xian jumped in fright and turned around to look. He saw an old man looking at him coldly. This old man's body was withered, but his eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. Lin Xian was secretly alert. The old man said, Don't be afraid. We are the same. Welcome to this land of despair. Lin Xian frowned. Land of despair? What did that mean? The old man said, I have been here for 5,000 years, and I can't get out of this place. If this is not a land of despair, then what is? Lin Xian frowned when he heard that. Why couldn't he get out? Wasn't the way back. Lin Xian turned around and was stunned. He realized that there was no way back. There had already been a change, forming a new world. The old man said, If you don't come after seeing it, you won't be able to get out for the rest of your life. Lin Xian's face was cold. He did not believe it. An intense light burst out from his eyes. He wanted to get out. However, he really couldn't find the way back. I don't believe it. It must be an illusion. It destroyed everything. He used the power of reincarnation, wanting to penetrate everything. However, it did not seem to be an illusion. He still couldn't find the way. He even summoned the Void Beast and used the power of space to tear open a space tunnel. He wanted to escape, but it was useless. The old man said, "Don't try. For 5,000 years, we have used all kinds of methods. If you could get out, you would have done so long ago. You are a young man. No matter how many methods you have, it will be difficult for you to get out." Lin Xian's face was cold. It was indeed strange. Could this old man be the powerhouse of Meng Po's lineage from 5,000 years ago that Meng Yi had mentioned? The other party was indeed trapped here. He said, "Senior, what's going on? Also, what's with these illusions in front? What do they mean by 100,000 years ago?" The old man sighed. This was the living scene of the Azura clan 100,000 years ago. These ruins should also be the ruins of the Azura clan. It left behind the scenes of 100,000 years ago. Those who came in could see it, but there was no way out. We once guessed that the way out was in the scenes of 100,000 years ago. However, we still couldn't find it. Lin Xian was surprised when he heard that. Could it be that there were others besides this old man? That's right. The old man nodded. Other than you and me, there were many others. All of them were top-notch geniuses and unparalleled experts. They all thought that they were unparalleled in the world and did not care about anything. That was why they dared to take the risk and come in. However, they all failed. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.